VCSUSports.com.
Tonight on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC. Ryan Cunningham with you this evening from the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse here on campus of Valley City State. The Vikings are at home tonight. It's non-conference action. It's not even regular season action tonight for their opponent. The University of Minnesota Morris will consider this tonight an exhibition matchup as the Viking women and men will take on the Cougars of the University of Minnesota Morris tonight. The Viking women enter with a record of 0-1 on the season after a 77-57 loss to the University of Jamestown, and the Viking men are 1-1 after a win of 90-80 and a loss of 108-105 in overtime to the Cougars as well. Those Cougars being the University of Brandon out of Brandon, Manitoba, Canada. Ryan Cunningham with you this evening. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch this one play out tonight here at the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse. We're in the crossover part of the year, which is always an interesting time where we get things going kind of back and forth. You're going to see, obviously, football and volleyball and men's and women's basketball all going simultaneously here for Valley City State, and that's what makes the NAIA kind of a good time at this time of the year. Our pregame report brought to you tonight by Sanford Health Valley City, here for all and here for good. Let's take a look at Drive for the title that we have for you this evening, and we'll start first of all with our preseason polls coming into tonight. The women and men getting, obviously, the various votes in a 6-team conference this year with a couple of teams, actually 7-team conference, a couple of teams dropping out a year ago. So the North Star Athletic Association currently with 7 teams in it coming into the season. And coming into the night in women's play, Dakota State is the overall pick to be the top team in the women's side of things in the North Star Athletic Association. Dakota State, a formidable team for the past several years in women's basketball, picking up 4 first-place votes out of 7. The other 3 went to Mayville State University. They were just 3 poll points behind, and Mayville State's got some really good returning players like Jordan's Rust. We saw her walking around to the volleyball match between the Vikings and Comets a week ago. And then, of course, they've also got Mackenzie Hughes, who really busted out and had a great season a year ago. And they've been putting that team together rather well over the last couple of years. And so that'll be a competitive race between those two. Bellevue was picked 3rd. Dickinson State was 4th. Valley City State was picked 5th out of the 7-team league. Viterbo was 6th, and Waldorf was 7th coming into play for the season. As far as the men's poll is concerned, the favorite to win the league is Mayville State University. The Comets have been putting together a very solid men's program lately as well, and they picked up 5 of 7 first-place votes in that men's poll. A first-place vote went to Viterbo, and another first-place vote went to Dickinson State. And we'll talk more about Dickinson State here in a moment. They've already shown they're going to be very formidable this season. The Vikings were picked 4th out of the 7 teams in that poll. Bellevue was 5th, Dakota State was 6th, and Waldorf was 7th. But again, I wouldn't read a lot into that just for the simple fact that it's really hard to know what this Viking team is going to be all about, for the fact that they've got so many new faces on the roster after graduating very heavy a season ago. So the polls obviously didn't know a lot about what Valley City State was about, and it was probably tough to rank these teams that were out there. But again, Mayville State the favorite on the men's side of things. On the women's side of things, Dakota State is the favorite coming into this season. Now, as far as what we were talking about with Dickinson State a couple of moments ago, Dickinson State showed us very early what it is that they're going to be about, because they beat the number 16 team in the country in men's basketball to get their season started. They knocked off Kansas Wesleyan to open up 1-0 inside overall play. Mayville State is currently 2-0 in men's play. Valley City State 1-1, Viterbo's 1-1, Waldorf 0-1, Bellevue 0-2, and Dakota State 0-2. But again, Dickinson State with that win over Kansas Wesleyan, which was very impressive. They nipped the 16th ranked team in the country by a final score of 73-71. Now they're listed as 1-1 on their record. They were beaten by Chadron State by a score of 90-83, but that was not on their overall record, so there may be just a little bit of a discrepancy between those two. But nonetheless, a very strong start for Dickinson State, getting a win over a ranked team right away this season. As for the women's side of things, Dickinson State and Mayville State have both opened up 2-0. Bellevue is currently 1-2. Dakota State and Waldorf have yet to play. Valley City State's 0-1, and Viterbo, Wisconsin is also 0-1. Dickinson State with those wins over Midland. That's a good basketball team that they beat, 68-66, and they knocked off Kansas Wesleyan strongly with a score of 97-75 in that matchup. And as we mentioned, Mayville State in women's play opening up 2-0 with a sweep over Providence University. They were not competitive, 94-32, 98-35 in those matchups. But we're going to see what they're about coming up tomorrow night as Mayville State will take on the University of Jamestown on the road in Jamestown, North Dakota. And that's Drive for the Title that we have for you this evening. Coming up, we'll take a look at those starting lineups in basketball just around the corner here at the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse. It's the Vikings and the University of Minnesota Morris. Game 2 for the Viking women, Game 3 for the Viking men tonight. And you'll hear it right here on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC.
Lever's Foods, best quality, best price. Lever's Foods, best service, they're nice. Lever's Foods, they make everything right. Lever's Foods.
Celebrate Lever's Foods' 86th anniversary with great savings all this week on boneless pork loin roast, $2.86 a pound. Our family potatoes 5-pound bag, just $1.86. Campbell's chunky soups, only $1.86 a can, and fresh navel oranges, $1.69 a pound. Delivery is available by calling 845-1732. Lever's Foods, Valley City, celebrating 86 years.
Hi, this is Clint from Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy in beautiful downtown Valley City, your only locally owned pharmacy since 1989. When you're locally owned, you care about your community and your customers. We offer a great selection of gifts and toys, as well as yarns, fabrics, sewing, and crafting. We are here for you from 9 to 5:30 weekdays and Saturdays 9 to 1. For all your pharmaceutical needs, give us a call, 845-5280.
Health Mart, taking time to listen and care.
This is Krista Thildress, a physician assistant with Sanford Health Underland and Valley City. It's officially that time of year to start thinking about your annual flu shots. Protect yourself and your loved ones by booking your appointment to receive your flu shot now. Contact us at Sanford Health Underland at 437-3320 or Valley City at 845-6000 to schedule your appointment.
Flu vaccines are recommended for ages 6 and up and can be received at any Sanford Health appointment. To self-schedule, visit Sanford MyChart. Sanford Health, here for you, here for good.
Hi, I'm Corey Anderson, a proud Viking graduate and executive director for University Advancement at VCSU. I'm thankful to live and work in a community that values our amazing university and cherishes education as a blessing and a gift. There are few gifts as important as those that help students fulfill their educational goals. Your scholarship contributions do just that. Help keep us moving forward by supporting the V500 scholarship program today. A gift for a student is a gift for our community. To find easy ways to give, visit give.vcsu.edu.
When gathering around the table with family and friends or enjoying a quiet meal by yourself, make certain you have the finest cuts of meat from Valley Meat Supply. Quality steaks and pork chops that make every bite a true delight. Valley Meat offers a wide variety to satisfy every taste and budget, including incredible sausage, several varieties of cheese, baked beans, award-winning beef jerky and snack sticks, and a great selection of spices. Valley Meat Supply, your locally owned, locally sourced meat market, located on West Main Street in Valley City. At CHI Mercy Health, we believe human kindness is at the root of all healing, providing care on a human level, courage when it's needed most, and a connection that's ever present among us all. Human kindness is meant to be shared. It puts a smile on someone's face and seeks to do the same for others. Take the time to nourish what's inside and watch your life flourish outside, because taking care of yourself is an act of human kindness. Just like human kindness, happiness can come from the most unexpected places. Whether it's from your friend, your dog, or a memory, embrace it and pass it on. CHI Mercy Health of Valley City.
Live coverage of Viking basketball tonight on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC, from the Fieldhouse, where the Vikings welcome in the University of Minnesota Morris and the Cougars this evening, getting ready for the start of our matchup with the national anthem just around the corner, and our starting lineups coming up in a couple of moments as well. Our pregame report has been brought to you tonight by Sanford Health Valley City, Here for all and here for good. We'll pause momentarily as our national anthem is just around the corner. A reminder to you that coming up on Saturday, we have Highlander play-in volleyball. That'll be from Fargo South. The Highlanders will have their postseason. It comes down to a play-in game as they go on the road to take on the Bruins. We'll have it for you coming up with a 6 o'clock start that night. And that will follow Viking football. The Vikings play at Dickinson State coming up on Saturday afternoon. We'll have that for you coming up as well with a kickoff of 3 and a pregame at 2 o'clock coming up on Saturday. And you'll hear that right here on KOVC as well. So look for us for a doubleheader coming up as our next sports action. That will be on Saturday afternoon and on Saturday evening. And, of course, Minnesota Vikings football each and every weekend right here on the voice of the Vikings in Valley City. KOVC. We're going to take one final pause as we bring you our national anthem. When we come back, we will bring you the starting lineups and the tip-off for our women's matchup tonight. It's the Vikings and the University of Minnesota Morris this evening here on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC.
Are you on the right financial path? Are all your financial professionals on the same page? At LaRue Lockout Financial, you can be assured that your investment professional and tax professional are working together. Call Ryan LaRue at 701-845-6938 or James M. Lockout at CPA 701-845-1660. Services offered through Investment Advisors, a division of Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, and securities offered through Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer and member FINRA and SIPC.
Ivy Real Estate Group, your locally owned real estate brokerage, is cheering for the home team. Listen to KOVC for the Ivy Real Estate Group Player of the Game following every Valley City Highliner and VCSU Vikings game.
This is Dr. Ryan Lorenz, physical therapist at Mobility Plus Rehabilitation, with offices in Enderlin, Lisbon, Gwinner, and Valley City. Our mission is to provide exceptional physical and occupational therapy by highly skilled therapists to minimize pain and maximize mobility, which quickly allows you to return to the quality of life you desire. We will evaluate and educate you on your condition, review treatment options, and create an effective treatment plan to solve your impairments based on your unique situation and needs. I invite you to call our offices at Mobility Plus today.
Why choose professional eye care centers? Let me count the whys. First, there are now 4 great doctors to see. Dr. Frank, Dr. Freilich, Dr. Jangula, and now welcoming Dr. Bond. Next is their many locations. You can now see one of their spectacular doctors in Jamestown, Valley City, Carrington, and Edgeley. And finally, their fantastic frame selection. And yes, all of their frames and lenses are backed by warranty. Visit ProEyeCareCenters.com and make an appointment today. Professional Eye Care Centers. Clearly the best.
The voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC. Ryan Cunningham with you tonight as the Vikings get set to take on the University of Minnesota Morris. Our pregame report has been brought to you tonight by Sanford Health Valley City. Here for all and here for good. And let's take a look at our starting lineups for tonight's matchup. Starting lineups are brought to you this evening by CHI Mercy Health Valley City. Hello, Human Kindness. For the University of Minnesota Morris, the guards are Maddie Grove, a 6-foot freshman from Morris, Minnesota. Mallory Anderson, a 5'9 senior from Morris, Minnesota. And Jay Quante, a 5'9 senior from Maple Grove, Minnesota. The forwards, Claire Stark, a 6'2 freshman from Hoffman, Minnesota. And Lexus Red Thunder, a 6'3 senior from Sisseton, South Dakota. This is a big team. Claire Stark at 6'2", Maddie Grove at 6 feet on the perimeter. As a freshman, obviously that's a big player. And Lexus Red Thunder at 6'3 in the post. It's going to be a formidable front line for the Cougars under head coach Tim Grove. If that sounds familiar, it should. He's in his 18th season at the University of Minnesota Morris. But Tim Grove is the younger brother of Paul Grove, and both are coaching at the University of Minnesota Morris. Paul Grove is the head men's coach, and Tim Grove spent time as Tim Miles' assistant when Tim Miles was at Mayville State before Tim Grove moved on to the University of Minnesota Morris. For the Vikings, under 7th-year head coach Vanessa Johnson. The guards are Haley Roberts, a 5'6 junior from Minot, North Dakota. Ellie Broughton, a 5'6 freshman from West Hope, North Dakota. And also a guard, Ashlyn Deemer, 5'9 junior from West Fargo, North Dakota. The forwards are Madison Spacier, 5'11 sophomore from Watford City, North Dakota. And Rosie Anderson, a 6-foot freshman from Moorhead, Minnesota. The assistant coach for the Vikings is Taylor Henningsgaard. The Vikings are in black uniforms tonight at home, with the red letters, red numbers, the white and cardinal trim. And the University of Minnesota Morris in traveling grays tonight with gold and maroon trim. That seems to be sort of, I guess, a fixture in the University of Minnesota system. Crookston has gold and maroon. Obviously, the University of Minnesota, the U, has gold and maroon. And then we see Morris going with that same color scheme tonight as well. Rosie Anderson will take the jump for the Vikings versus Lexus Red Thunder for the University of Minnesota Morris, and the Cougars have the basketball to get things started tonight. Maddie Grove, who is Tim Grove's daughter, the head coach coaching her, or his daughter rather, here at the collegiate level. And Maddie Grove brings it across, and now we see a whistle away from the basketball and a 3-second call coming up against Lexus Red Thunder in the post, and the Vikings will get their first possession of the night. And now we'll see what Ellie Broughton, this young point guard, can do. Again, high praise from Vanessa Johnson before the pregame report tonight about how she controls the team. Haley Roberts driving in, pulling up on a pull-up jumper from the foul line, ends up missing it strong, and the rebound chased down underneath by Mallory Anderson for the Cougars. Quate brings it into the front court for Morris, coming back to Mallory Anderson on the right side. She'll flex back to Grove in the top of the key. She's guarded hard by Ellie Broughton, player to player, giving up a lot of size, but Broughton trying to give her a left hand. The ball's knocked out of bounds. They'll say last touched by Maddie Grove, trying to retrieve her own loose basketball, and the Cougars are induced into a turnover. 2 turnovers in 2 possessions tonight for Minnesota Morris, and the Vikings are back in the front court. Scoreless game here in the opening quarter. Deemer with the basketball for the Vikings. Robert to Rosie Anderson in the high post, handing back to Broughton, puts the dribble down and sends it back right side to Spacier. Spacier, a baseline move and a pull-up from 11 feet. Got her own rebound on the miss, then had it stripped away, and it's taken back for the Cougars by Mallory Anderson as the Cougars come back into the front court. Ball top of the key with Claire Stark, her first touch tonight. Jay Quate on the left wing, working back to Maddie Grove in the top of the key. Grove a jab step, working to Anderson. The lead down low and off the glass, shot strong from Claire Stark. She got the move inside she was looking for. Rosie Anderson had the rebound and mishandled it. Stark got another chance at the basket, missed again. This time Anderson the rebound and the kick out to Ellie Broughton. She'll reverse to the left wing, and Spacier gets called for traveling, trying to make a dribble move towards the lane. That ball goes back to Minnesota Morris on a Viking turnover. Sluggish offensive start to the game. We're a minute and a half in. No scoring either team. Maddie Clark will look at a little bit of trapping pressure from the Vikings. It relaxes. Quate stops, comes back near side, and the Vikings nearly had a turnover. Mallory Anderson takes a court-wide pass, drives and scores off the glass. Once the press was broken, there was an advantage there, and Mallory Anderson has the first 2 points of the game. It's 2-0 in favor of Minnesota Morris. Kick out Roberts, wide open 3 right corner. Knock it down for Haley Roberts. Good to see Haley stepping into some threes and hitting early. She had to split her time at the point guard spot a year ago. She's a natural shooter. She hits a 3 from the corner. The Vikings are up 3-2. Jay Quate looking left side. Stark on the baseline, reversing back top of the key for Lexus Red Thunder. A stop well away from the basket, and Haley Roberts going to be called up in the grill of Stark out on the perimeter. Roberts will pick up her first personal foul. Clock will stop with 7:51 to go in the opening quarter. Jay Quate will inbound for the Cougars. Far sideline, she'll find Maddie Grove, who's defended by Broughton strongly again. And a post-entry pass for Lexus Red Thunder, too strong from Grove. Goes through the wickets, and the Vikings take it away. Minnesota Morris has struggled holding on to the basketball tonight. Top of the key, Broughton looking left side. Roberts dribble drive, hard take to the rack. She draws a foul from behind. She was beaten. Mallory Anderson had to come in over the top to knock that ball away from Haley Roberts, and Roberts is on her way to the foul line in the first foul against the Cougars tonight. Pair of changes for Minnesota Morris. Reese Wasink will come in at a forward spot. 6-foot sophomore from Edgerton, Minnesota. And also new to the game will be a perimeter player. We'll get that for you here in a couple of moments. Haley Roberts is at the foul line for the Vikings. First of 2 is good. Rattles around and finds its way in. And 4 points early for Haley Roberts. 7.2 points per game a year ago. Roberts scored 12 in the opener against the University of Jamestown back on last week. Her second foul shot is good, and 5 in the early going for Haley Roberts. The other new player for the Cougars is Grace Perry, a 5'11 freshman from Moorhead, Minnesota. A lot of size here. Spacier nearly had her hands on a turnover and then fouls Maddie Grove coming back after a loose basketball. But the Vikings have been very aggressive in the full court defensively. Nearly had a second turnover out of that trap. They had one just a couple of moments ago that was an eyelash short, but the trap was beaten. That allowed Mallory Anderson to go to the basket. That time Spacier had one in her hands and couldn't hold it. Post-entry pass, Red Thunder looking down low on a lead. It's deflected out. Grove picks it up and dribbles to the baseline, pulls up on a fall away from 9 feet, and a foul coming up on the rebound. And I think they're going to ticket Grace Perry of Minnesota Morris. They will. Perry's first, team foul number 2 of the opening quarter against the Cougars. The Vikings leading 5-2. They've been up against a much bigger team so far. There's a lot of size on this Minnesota Morris team, but Valley City State has not struggled. A drive by Haley Roberts on the baseline. Reversal kick out. Deemer left corner three, up and off the front of the rim. Rebound to Rosie Anderson getting inside of Red Thunder. She kicks to Deemer, who makes a cut to the basket. The ball deflected loose. Broughton saves it. The Vikings back to work offensively. Deemer scooped to the basket on a big lead step, ends up short. And a rebound battle is waged where Mallory Anderson will pull it away for Minnesota Morris. She'll kick out to Maddie Grove, and the Cougars are back in the front court, down 3 to the Vikings at 5-2. Top of the key, Red Thunder coming back to the basketball is Perry. Perry a look, back to Mallory Anderson on top, spinning, working right into Red Thunder on the right block, turning against Anderson, coming back to the right, pulls up and scores. Big play for Alexis Red Thunder. She drew Rosie Anderson along with her in that big 6'3 frame, up and over for the jumper to score inside, and the Viking lead is trimmed to 1 at 5-4. A screen set, Roberts pulls up off the dribble, long two, she hit it. Haley Roberts having a big first quarter, 7 points for Haley Roberts in the early going. More trapping pressure from the Vikings. Mallory Anderson runs away from it into the front court for the Cougars. Vikings up 7-4. Red Thunder a stop of the dribble way out on the top of the key, pressed by Spacier, and the ball will go back to Mallory Anderson out by the circle. Anderson a spin, putting the back into Broughton, kicking it out far sideline for Perry, out of bounds. Perry couldn't handle it. Ball goes back to the Vikings, and you can tell Minnesota Morris is frustrated by the pressure defense that the Vikings are giving them right now. It's having an effect. And we'll see some changes for both teams. Enter for the Vikings, Adriana Torres, a 5'10 senior out of Pelican Rapids, Minnesota. Good to see her back. Deemer to head fake and a drive and a double dribble. She drew a defender. She had an open look to the basket, and well, they're going to call that a walk, and Deemer doesn't like the call. Meanwhile, Minnesota Morris some changes. Shelby Mortensen, 6-foot sophomore from Granite Falls, Minnesota, into the matchup. And Alice Wilkinson, a 5'6 sophomore from Rio Rancho, New Mexico, finds her way into the matchup. Jay Quate returns as well for Minnesota Morris. They look down low and off the bump, off the glass. The shot's going to go in for Shelby Mortensen. That'll cut the lead back to 1. Shelby Mortensen posting up on the right side, scoring her first 2. Deemered inside the spin, got her shot stuffed inside. Big reach out and knocked that away by Reese Wassink, who also checked in on the last dead ball. 6-foot sophomore from Edgerton, Minnesota, comes up with a block shot. The Cougars looking for their first lead of the night. Correction, first lead since they had a 2-0 matchup. Drive right side, Wilkinson stopping on the wing, looking down low and a lead pass into the post. That's over everybody. Trying to find Shelby Mortensen inside. The ball sails out of bounds. And now the Vikings will make some changes. Valley City State will send in Elise Hebrink, a 5'5 junior from Austin, Minnesota. Madison Wilhelmy checked in last dead ball. 5'5 sophomore from Beach, North Dakota. And a new post player for the Vikings as well, Ellie Powell, 5'5 freshman out of Bowman, North Dakota. Pull up on the baseline. Adriana Torres making her way to the baseline on a cut. Torres has her first 2. Nice play for Adriana Torres, and the Vikings are back up 3 by a score of 9-6 here in the opening quarter on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Wilkinson up front for Minnesota Morris, taking the dribble left, got a screen. That left Wilhelmy in the dust. Hard take to the basket. Bank shot comes up short for Reese Wilkinson. The ball comes back to the Vikings. Madison Wilhelmy taking one back from Katie Anderson, who checks in. Correction, Katie Johnson, 5'6 junior from Pura, Minnesota. Johnson on the floor for the first time. Ball into the post, a look down low, and a try to kick out for the Vikings from Ellie Powell. And I don't know that that's Powell that's on the floor. They list Powell at 5'5", and she's playing forward inside. They might just have her height wrong because Ellie Powell wearing number 23, but she's not 5 feet 5 inches tall. We'll have to correct that during the next break. Nonetheless, a turnover by the Vikings as Powell ends up having it stripped, and Alice Wilkinson's into the front court for Minnesota Morris. High post on the right elbow for Shelby Mortensen, and back off to the left side for Wilkinson. Jay Quate driving to the right elbow as well, turning it back to the perimeter for Grace Perry. Shot clock's down to 2. Shot clock's down to 1. Perry didn't get it off, and the Vikings force another turnover. Shot clock violation by Minnesota Morris. The defense for Valley City State has been high octane. It's been pressure and in your face throughout the course of the night. And Minnesota Morris just hasn't found the adjustment to it as of yet. Vikings by 3, 9-6 up front. Torres driving right, an illegal screen coming up. They're going to call this against the Vikings number 23, Ellie Powell. Powell will be called for her first. That'll be team foul number 3 of the opening quarter for Valley City State. Claire Stark is back in the game for Minnesota Morris in a post position. Again, this Cougar team tall, 6 foot, 6'3", 5'11", 6'2", but they haven't been able to really take advantage of that size so far tonight. Wilkinson top of the key to Jay Quate for the Cougars. Cougars go left to right as we take a look at it tonight. Stark on top, Wilkinson right side. Looking down low, the turn. Mortensen, fall away, got in over Torres and scores. Shelby Mortensen now with 4 tonight. Shelby Mortensen, her second field goal. The Vikings have their lead cut to 1. Torres, hard take to the rack and off the glass with the left hand. Torres with 4. Boy, it's good to see Adriana Torres confident in that first step. That leg seems to be feeling good for her tonight, and that's a great play to see her early in the game going hard inside on dribble penetration. She looks a lot better than she did at the end of last year. Alice Wilkinson, top of the key to Jay Quate, right side. They go down low to Stark. The turn, the follow away, the left hand is strong. And a rebound inside for the Vikings to Elise Hebrink. And the Vikings can try to widen their lead to 2 possessions. Hebrink down low to the glass. Powell will score. Hebrink dribble drive. Powell goes hard to the rack. And Ellie Powell has her first 2. And the Vikings are up 2 possessions. It's a 13-8 Viking lead on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard with 2 minutes and change here in the opening quarter. Jay Quate to the right baseline. Pull up on the way for Mortensen strong. Katie Johnson comes up with a rebound on the weak side for the Vikings. And the Vikings are back up front on the run. Johnson a stop. A look into the post. Finding Powell high post back to Johnson. She tries to spin her way down low. Ball ends up rolling towards the baseline, and Jay Quate will pick it up on a turnover. Minnesota Morris comes away with possession. Quate driving right elbow. Pulls up on a jump shot. Left it well short. Rebound is saved inbounds to the Vikings. Powell comes away with it. Valley City stayed up front. Hebrink trying to push the tempo. Found Torres in transition to the glass. She ends up running into a body. Lost the ball out of bounds, and it will go back to Minnesota Morris on a turnover. See a couple of changes for each team. The Vikings will send Ellie Broughton back into the matchup, and Allie Negan will come in for the first time, a 5'11 senior from Mountain Iron, Minnesota. Minnesota Morris will return Maddie Grove, 6-foot freshman that started at the point guard spot tonight. And Mallory Anderson will come back into the matchup as well, their top returner from a year ago. Lexus Red Thunder is also back in the game at a post position. Vikings leading 13-8, clock to 1.5 minutes to play in the opening quarter. Ball top of the key with Alice Wilkinson looking for a screen. Got one, dribbles through it, sends it left side. Anderson down low. Lexus Red Thunder turning into a double team. Whistle and a jump ball forced. Allie Negan's going to reach in and force that jump ball. Possession arrow's going to belong to the Vikings. And so Valley City State gets it back with 1:27 left here in the first. Ellie Broughton, the freshman out of West Hope, North Dakota, coming into the front court with it. She seems to have taken over the point guard spot. A drive inside by Torres, too many steps, trying to come to a stop on the right block. Ends up being called for the walk off the bump. And Minnesota Morris will get the basketball back, and the Vikings continue to line up. 3/4 court trap. They don't trap right away. They wait for that ball almost out to a half-court trap situation, but they put a lot of pressure on, and this one forces a turnover. Ball knocked away by Nagin. Hard take to Johnson. Johnson scores in transition as the Vikings force a turnover out of that trap, and they're up now by 7, 3 possessions in the final minute of the opening quarter. It's 15-8, and a travel coming up again against the trap. This time it's Alice Wilkinson cut off by Katie Johnson. And the Cougars, despite being the bigger team, really struggling against the Vikings' pressure defense. Torres inbounds the basketball. Ellie Broughton up front for Valley City State. Ball right side with Hebrink taking a look towards the post. Instead kicks it out, and a catch and shoot 3 drained from the top for Ellie Broughton. Her first scoring tonight, backing up those 11 points she had against the Jimmies last week, and it's a 10-point Viking lead in the final half minute of the opening quarter. Another trap, all kinds of trouble far side of the floor for Maddie Grove. She found Red Thunder, right side, 3 on the way from Anderson is strong. Rebound put back, Wilkinson comes up short. Now it's Red Thunder who's fouled inside, trying to find some separation. She would have walked if she was not fouled. Foul will go against Elise Hebrink. That's the first against Hebrink, and the Vikings 4th here in the opening quarter. Next one results in foul shots here in the opener. 23.6 seconds left, 20 on the shot clock. Inbounds pass Anderson. Red Thunder underneath, turning and scoring off the glass. Lexus Red Thunder with 4. The Viking lead cut to 8. Long transition pass to Katie Johnson. Shot clock, or game clock rather, at 10 seconds. Hard take again. Torres scooped to the basket, ends up strong off the heel. But a blocking foul against Minnesota Morris will put Torres on the foul line. And the foul against Morris is going to go against Claire Stark. That'll be just the 3rd team foul, but it's a shooting foul against Morris. Torres at the foul line. First is good. Adriana, 5 points all-conference player in her sophomore year, just did not have a chance to show you how good she was a year ago due to injury, but she's been very good in her time tonight. She misses a foul shot, 1 of 2 the line. She's got 5 seconds to go as Morris clears the rebound with Stark. Long pass up the floor, Anderson, and a throwaway looking for Alice Wilkinson. Court-wide pass behind her, ends up beyond the near sideline. And the Vikings have 2 2/10 to try to get something up from distance. Inbounds pass to Broughton from half court on the way. This one's good from half court. Ellie Broughton hits it from half court. Are they waving it off? They're going to count it. 22-10. Ellie Broughton hits a 3 from the half line as time expires, and the Vikings give us a highlight at the end of the opening half to take the lead to 12 on our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard after 1. It's the Vikings 22 and the Cougars 10. This is Viking basketball on the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC.
Grotberg Electric believes in quality first, taking pride in the work and standing behind every project they do. They bring together the power, technology, and experience to keep your business online. The success of Grotberg Electric depends on 3 major ideals: the quality of their products, the commitment to their customers, and most of all, their customer service. Call Grotberg Electric today at 845-3010 or visit them online, grotbergelectric.com.
Lever's Foods, best quality, best price. Lever's Foods, best service, they're nice. Lever's Foods, they make everything right. Lever's Foods.
Celebrate Lever's Foods' 86th anniversary with great savings all this week on boneless pork loin roast, $2.86 a pound. Our family potatoes 5-pound bag, just $1.86. Campbell's chunky soups, only $1.86 a can, and fresh navel oranges, $1.69 a pound. Delivery is available by calling 845-1732. Lever's Foods, Valley City, celebrating 86 years.
Forcing the University of Minnesota Morris into a handful of turnovers in just the first 10 minutes tonight. Valley City State, they have for 7 turnovers in the first quarter. They forced 9 against the University of Minnesota Morris. And the Vikings shoot 61.5% from the field, including Ellie Broughton hitting from half court at the end of the opening half, or rather opening quarter, to put the Vikings up by a score of 22-10 as we go to the second. Welcome back to Viking basketball on the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC. Ryan Cunningham with you here this evening. Haley Roberts with 7 to lead the way for the Vikings. Ellie Broughton 6, Adriana Torres 5 off the bench. And for Minnesota Morris, Shelby Mortensen and Lexus Red Thunder teaming up for 4 each. Mallory Anderson with 2. And the size advantage for Minnesota Morris just didn't really come into play in that first quarter. But again, keep in mind, they haven't played a game yet. The Vikings have. And now we're going to see a whistle as Morris got their possession started. I don't know. There might have been a shot clock issue. They've already got 16 on the shot clock, and perhaps that didn't get reset. So they're put 26 on the shot clock. Perhaps hit the reset button after an offensive rebound instead of a full possession for Minnesota Morris. So 26 on the clock, and they'll re-inbound. Maddie Grove will start with the basketball. Jay Quate working right side off the screen, looking to the corner for Mallory Anderson. On top, a distant 3 for a post player from Reese Wassink that ends up off the heel of the rim. Rebound battle ends up slinging the ball out of bounds, and Elise Hebrink will win the battle for the Vikings as this is last touched by Lexus Red Thunder. Valley City State will get the basketball back. 22-10. The Vikings on top to start the second quarter on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Haley Roberts, high post on the right side to Allie Negan. Diemert pulling up and had that one partially blocked. Lexus Red Thunder got a big hand out in front of that one from about 15 feet and redirected it. We'll see Maddie Grove into the front court looking backdoor cut for Jay Quate, and that one's strong and out of bounds. Another turnover for Minnesota Morris. And this is probably in part the advantage of the Vikings having played a game, knowing what it is they want to do, whereas the University of Minnesota Morris considers this an exhibition on their schedule. They don't list this on their official schedule. They don't play an official game until next week. Near side, Hebrink, left corner 3 is strong. Rebound loose. It's picked up by Negan. She has a shot blocked on a putback on the baseline. Red Thunder comes away with a block and the basketball, and the Cougars are into the front court with it. Mallory Anderson on the right side. She'll be defended by Haley Roberts. Picked up her dribble high. Kind of lobs one for Grove. She couldn't handle it. It's picked off on the weak side by Elise Hebrink. Hebrink up front kicking. Broughton going to the basket. Hit by a double team. Saved the basketball from going out of bounds. Diemert driving left. Got to the foul line. Sends it out to Negan from 18. She hits on the mid-range. Allie Negan pulling up on the mid-range jump shot, first scoring of the second quarter for either team, and the Vikings extend their lead to 14 at 24-10. Grove to the left side, getting rid of the basketball for Mallory Anderson. Jay Quate on the baseline, out to Lexus Red Thunder. Ball slipped through, but Red Thunder was able to rescue it. Grove shifts to the post, pulls up on a fall away off the glass and missed it. Rebound goes strong to the perimeter, ends up knocked out of bounds. I think Roberts touched it last. She did, and the Cougars will get the basketball back. Katie Johnson comes into the game, replacing Elise Hebrink. A really, really big team for the University of Minnesota Morris, but the Vikings' speed and their pressure defense has been just a major difference in the way this one has played out so far in the early going. Jay Quate off the far sideline for Morris. Sends it out to Lexus Red Thunder on the top of the key. And now ball to the right side. Mallory Anderson driving, looking down to the post. Tried to lob one down there. Deflected out of bounds. The shot clock's at 2 seconds for Minnesota Morris. The Vikings looking to get a sub into the game before the ball's put back in play. They want Rosie Anderson inside against the size of the front line for Minnesota Morris. Jay Quate to inbound from the baseline. Out to the top for Red Thunder, stolen by Ashley Diemert. Diemert's on the run, one-on-one against Red Thunder. She goes to the glass, right hand, kicking underneath the basket, and Diemert has her first two. Diemert going left side, trying to draw the defense that way. A foul coming up against Haley Roberts in the full court defense. But Diemert going in left side of the basket and then took the dribble underneath the basket, finished righty and drew the defense sort of oblong, and there was no way that Red Thunder could get a hand on it. You could see once Red Thunder was beaten at 6'3", she decided she was going to try to block the shot. That was her best effort. Diemert saw it coming, made the adjustment. Roberts with her second foul for the Vikings and remains in the game. That's the first of the second quarter for Valley City State. Quate to the left wing, finding Stark. Look down low. Mallory Anderson strong off the glass, but Katie Johnson's going to be called for a foul. Johnson's first. That'll be the second against the Vikings, and this is on the shot, so Mallory Anderson goes to the foul line for Minnesota Morris. Anderson would be considered likely the top returner for Minnesota Morris from a year ago. 8.7 points per game, their top scorer that comes back, and 6.9 rebounds as well. She misses on the front end. One of their players expected to do some things tonight, Jaden Sondral, at 8.5. That's a player that'll be familiar around here. Sondral was a Red River standout, but she's in street clothes tonight and apparently not playing in this matchup this evening. That's 8.5 points per game that's out of the lineup. Second foul shot for Mallory Anderson results in a lane violation against the Cougars. So the Vikings get the basketball and remain ahead by a score of 26-10. Hard take to the basket for Roberts amongst the trees. Couple of 6-foot players she ran through to get a bank shot away. Ends up coming up strong. Grove comes away with a rebound from Minnesota Morris, and the Cougars are back up front. Anderson found an alley, driving hard, got to the window and scores. Mallory Anderson found just a seam on the right side of the floor and exploded right through it with the dribble. Scores her latest bucket. 4 in the game now for Mallory Anderson, and the Viking lead cut to 14 at 26-12. Drive inside by Roberts, kick out to the corner, Katie Johnson. Reversal to Broughton, now Diemert open three, that rims off. Rebound battle inside, and Rosie Anderson does hard battle inside again, and this is going to be called for a foul after Mallory Anderson had stripped the ball away from her. Anderson comes in with a forearm and gets hit for her first. Be the third against the Vikings now here in this second quarter, so they have only one more to give. And Minnesota Morris is going to send Grace Perry back into the matchup at a post position. The Vikings have sent Madison Spacier back into the matchup at a forward spot. And Minnesota Morris with the basketball and a 14-point deficit to the Vikings at 26-12. Trap relaxing just a bit. And we'll see Grace Perry dribbling into the front court for Minnesota Morris after a pass court wide. She stops top of the key. Katie Johnson applies the pressure. Ball back to Grove. Anderson off the right wing, defended strongly. Pass inside. Perry taking it, scoring on a loose basketball. Grace Perry with her first two. The Vikings defended that well, but didn't close out to a loose basketball off the pass, and Perry was able to make a step back to it and find it. The Viking lead cut to 12 at 26-14. Right now, the offense not as clear sailing for the Vikings as that back in the opening half. Johnson, baseline move from 12 on the pull-up, missed it. Anderson comes up with a rebound. That's another thing that the Cougars have done well in the second quarter. The Vikings got some second efforts back in the opening frame, and in this second quarter, the Cougars have been much better on the glass. Perry right side for Minnesota Morris. Reversal back to the top of the key for Stark. A drive in by Grove, a pull-up from 6, and she's fouled. And that's going to be the last foul the Vikings have to give in the second quarter. Ellie Broughton, the freshman out of West Hope, will be called for her first. The Vikings have been hit with 8 fouls in the opening half tonight, only one player with 2. But nonetheless, that's the 4th of the second quarter, and so Morris will shoot the penalty for the remainder of the opening half. And Maddie Grove is at the line to start it, and she hits it. 1 of 3 on the night from the foul line for Minnesota Morris. The Vikings are 3 of 4 from the line in the opening half. Second foul shot for Grove is good. Maddie Grove, the daughter of Tim Grove, and Tim Grove's brother, Maddie's uncle, Paul Grove, is coaching the men, so a really family affair at Minnesota Morris. 6 points in a row for Morris. They've cut the lead down to 26-16. 10-point lead for the Vikings with 5:45 to play until the break. Rosie Anderson in, back out to Spacier. Left corner 3 is short. Anderson battles for the rebound but is blocked out well by Perry. The loose basketball comes out to Maddie Grove, and the Cougars can cut this to single digits on the way back up the floor. Alice Wilkinson back in at a perimeter position. Takes the ball, comes back towards the right side. Found Shelby Mortensen. Now to Stark on the top of the key. Perry trying to get around the defensive Spacier. Both players tumble to the floor. Spacier's going to be called for a foul on the floor, and this should send the Cougars to the foul line. Spacier will pick up her second personal foul, and this will put Grace Perry on the line. Adriana Torres will come back into the matchup for the Vikings, replacing Katie Johnson. And now the Cougars, who were down by 16 a couple of moments ago, have a chance to complete an 8-0 run and pull themselves back to within 8. First foul shot is good for Grace Perry. She has 3 on the night, and it's 26-17. The Vikings currently with a 9-point lead that will be cut to 8 now, as the second foul shot for Grace Perry gives her her 4th point tonight. And the Vikings have just 4 points in the second quarter. 3 on the way from the top for Broughton is no good. Rebound out of bounds. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. It's Cougars basketball on the voice of the Vikings, KOVC.
This is 1490 KOVC AM Valley City and 96.3 K242CZ Valley City.
The voice of the Valley.
The Vikings leading 26-18. Women's basketball tonight, the first of a doubleheader between the Vikings and Minnesota Morris this evening. Maddie Grove in the top of the key for Minnesota Morris. Back towards the top for Reese Wassink. Wassink off to the near side. Alice Wilkinson off a jab step, looking down low. Ball deflected by Spacier. Saved in bounds, but Adriana Torres comes up with a takeaway. The Vikings force a turnover. Deemer into the front court. Dribble got high, and that's on the sideline as Torres and Deemer tried to get on the fast break and end up running it out of bounds. 8-0 run for Minnesota Morris. They've cut a 26-10 lead down to 26-18. And the Cougars now have a chance to make this a 2-possession game once again. Wilkinson backcourt, playing catch of the floor with Reese Wassink against the trap. Trap doesn't materialize. The Vikings player to player. Perry a 3 is good from the right side. Grace Perry hits a 3. The Vikings call timeout as their lead has been cut from 16 to 5 on an 11-0 Cougar run. 26-21 Vikings. It's a 30-second timeout for Mobility Plus Rehabilitation. This is Viking basketball.
Hi, this is Clint from Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy in beautiful downtown Valley City, your only locally owned pharmacy since 1989. When you're locally owned, you care about your community and your customers. We offer a great selection of gifts and toys, as well as yarns, fabrics, sewing, and crafting. We are here for you from 9 to 5:30 weekdays and Saturdays 9 to 1. For all your pharmaceutical needs, give us a call, 845-5280.
Health Mart, taking time to listen and care.
The Vikings scored the first 4 points of the second quarter. Minnesota Morris has scored the latest 11. And the Vikings find themselves with their lead cut to 5 at 26-21. It was a 26-10 lead for Valley City State, but Minnesota Morris has found a way to limit the Viking transition scoring and also find their way back into some rebounding that eluded them back in the opening quarter. And right now, Valley City State has a game on their hands. You knew that size for Minnesota Morris would catch up at some point. They've got 5 on the roster at 5'11" or 6 feet tall. The Vikings handled it well first quarter. Now a little bit of a dogfight in the second quarter. Rosie Anderson inside, dribbling free, got to the basket and got a shot blocked inside. A loose basketball picked up by Ellie Broughton. She goes to the glass and scores. That was after Rosie Anderson's shot, blocked by Shelby Mortensen. Ellie Broughton picked it up and drives her way to the basket for a bucket, and it breaks up the 11-0 Cougar run. 28-21. Lead back to 7. The trap is going to force another turnover. Perry trying to go across the floor to Reese Wassink. The pass too high and out of bounds in front of the scorer's table. Adriana Torres will inbound the basketball for Valley City State once again. The Vikings back up front. Broughton looking right side. Haley Roberts pulls up for 3. Hits it from the right wing. High arcing 3 for Haley Roberts. That one was way up in the air, and it had Vanessa Johnson, the head coach of the Vikings, leaning to will it in. The Vikings a little 5-0 spurt, and they're back up 10, 31-21. Roberts has 10 tonight. 3:35 to play on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Perry on the right side for Minnesota Morris. Looking inside. Ball deflected loose. She'll get to reestablish the dribble. Down the baseline. Looks inside and off the glass. Shelby Mortensen has her 6th tonight. Little dribble drive and draw. Drew the help side defender in, and that opened things up for Mortensen in the middle of the lane. Spacier, baseline move. Pulls up from 10 and hits it. Madison Spacier hitting off the dribble. That's a nice pickup for Madison Spacier. Tough shot to hit when you're running the baseline. She scores it. Lead back to 10 for the Vikings at 33-23. Double team on Jay Quate. She'll dribble out of it, out of the trap. Looking left side. Mortensen pulling up. Late whistle and a foul. Coming up maybe against Ellie Broughton. Correction, this will go against Adriana Torres. Torres first, and the Vikings are in the penalty, so everything's 2 shots from here on out. Cougars will make a couple of changes. Lexus Red Thunder set to come back in. She will. The Vikings will send Ellie Powell back into the matchup. She'll replace Rosie Anderson in the 5 spot. And we'll see Shelby Mortensen at the foul line for Minnesota Morris. The first rolls in, and Shelby Mortensen now with 7. Lead is 9, 33-24 for Valley City State. And Mortensen will try to cut it back to 8, and she will come up empty as that one rims off the back, and Ellie Powell has the rebound for the Vikings. Long pass up the floor. Spacier, touch out to Haley Roberts, and a travel out of the corner. Roberts trying to dribble free of Alice Wilkinson, ends up walking, and the ball will head back into the hands of Minnesota Morris. And the Cougars make another change. They'll send Mallory Anderson back into the matchup. Their top player from a year ago. Anderson has been somewhat quiet throughout the course of the night. Bucket in the first, bucket in the second. Wilkinson driving up front for Minnesota Morris. Off the dribble from 15, off the back of the rim, too strong. Rebound deflected out to the perimeter. Jay Quate has it for the Cougars and sends it back out between the rings for Wilkinson, and the Cougars go back to work with it. Shot clock at 10 seconds as they turn and face the basket. Mallory Anderson left side. Quate open for 3 from the top. That one strong off the heel. This time a backside rebound for Haley Roberts. The Vikings by 9 and with the basketball. Spacier up front, crossover to the left hand to stop on the baseline. Reversal to the top for Madison Wilhelmy. Back near side for Roberts, hard take in the paint. Back to Wilhelmy again. Head fake, drew a 3-point defender. She'll kick to Powell in the post and missed it. Torres coming down the baseline for an offensive board. She finds Spacier, back to the top. Roberts for 3, and that one's also off the heel. And there's another board in the hands of Torres. She couldn't hold it, deflected out by Mallory Anderson. Adriana Torres, good work on the offensive glass in that sequence. Cougars come away with the basketball down 9. A ball inside, deflected out of bounds by Spacier, intended for Anderson. Ball stays with the Cougars in the front court. 1:49 to play in the opening half. And the Vikings up by 9. They've led by as many as 16. The lead has dwindled to as few as 5 since the Vikings established that 16-point edge. Perry taking the inbounds pass, looking into Red Thunder. A ball stripped out of her hands out of the post. Wilhelmy does battle for the loose basketball on the floor. And was a timeout taken or a jump ball indicated? Haven't seen an indication as of yet as to what took place. It looks like the Vikings won it on the arrow. They forced the jump ball, and the Vikings will get it back on the possession arrow. Another chance to go up by double figures for Valley City State. Roberts right side, baseline move, got behind everybody. They sling it to the corner for Madison Spacier on an ugly pass, and ball knocked out of bounds by Jay Quate that was intended for Madison Wilhelmy along the wing. It'll stay Viking basketball up front. Torres to play it in. Torres looks top, instead goes left corner. Spacier into Ellie Powell in the post. Back out to Wilhelmy, and now Torres in the top of the key. Torres ball faking off a defender and finger rolling on the left-hand lay-in. Adriana Torres ball faking off a defender on a pass to the near side bluff, and she's got her 7th on the run to the glass, and the Vikings are back up 11 at 35-24, a minute 15 to go until the break. A drive in, hard take to the rack, coming up short for Mallory Anderson. Basketball to Ellie Powell, doing her best inside to command some space on the glass. Madison Wilhelmy up the floor, into Spacier, back out Torres, wide open look at a 3, and it's strong. Rebound Spacier underneath, however, the Vikings get another look, Ball deflected back out towards the perimeter. Quate stepped in front of a ball intended for Haley Roberts and knocked it out of bounds. And the Vikings will get it back. Madison Spacier steps off the floor. Katie Johnson returns for Valley City State. Torres will inbound to Wilhelmy. Shot clock at 10 seconds, game clock at 50. Top of the key, it's Torres taking back. Now back to Wilhelmy right side. Torres in, driving again. The ball fake off, went to the glass, and a whistle. Foul coming up. We'll see if this was on the shot or the rebound. I believe Torres is going to go to the foul line for Valley City State. Fouled by Lexus Red Thunder. It's the first foul against the Cougars in the second quarter, but this will be two, as in the act was Adriana Torres, and she wills in her first foul shot, coming up onto the tiptoes to bounce a little bit and get that one to come through at a follow-through that was a bit flat towards the rim. Second foul shot on the way. That one strong off the heel of the rim. Ball knocked loose on the rebound by Wilhelmy. It's out of bounds. Last touch by Mallory Anderson of the Cougars, and the Vikings will get it back. So the lead back to 12 as Torres knocks down the front end to 2, and the Vikings get the basketball back. Katie Johnson will take it. Looks out towards the top of the key. Scoops off to Haley Roberts. Roberts calling a play from some distance beyond the three-point line. She'll drive to the right, kicks out near side, and nobody home. That one right between Torres and Katie Johnson, and neither sure who was supposed to go in it. Lexus Red Thunder to inbound the basketball for Minnesota Morris. The shot clock will be turned off. We're down to 25 seconds left of the opening half. Jay Quate looking underneath, down the line. Perry, she drives to the basket and scores. No one had Grace Perry, and Grace Perry's had a nice second quarter off the bench. That's her 9th. The Viking lead cut to 10, 36-26. Post-entry Powell kicking out right corner, whistle, and a 3-second call against Ellie Powell. Seen 2 of those tonight. Sometimes you can go a whole year and not see one. Tonight we've seen a couple already, so they're enforcing that rather strongly. Good to see, though. Set the tone early. Red Thunder will inbound. Alice Wilkinson driving her way into the front court for Minnesota Morris. Got all the way to the baseline, and Torres knocked an effort away. She comes away with the basketball, but the Vikings will not get a shot off at the end of the half. The Vikings will take a 10-point lead into the locker room. Second quarter a little slow offensively for Valley City State, but in the end, 6 different players score in that second half of play, and the Vikings end up with a very balanced first half.
Hey college students, are you looking for a part-time job that works around your schedule, pays well, and gives you free money for college every year? McDonald's offers all of it. We can work around your schedule, and we give $2,500 scholarships to everyone who works for 3 months and averages 15 hours per week. That's 2 full shifts a week or 3 shifts of 5 hours. It's that easy. We've already given out more than $75,000 to students in North Dakota this year. Let us help you become the next scholarship recipient. Come join our team. Text ND29 to 38000 to apply today.
You live life on the move. While you determine what direction that may be, we're here to help along the way. So go. Go with values. Go with friends. Go with support. Go with convenience.
The many scholarships provided are a testament to the support of the alumni, family, and friends of VCSU. Please keep expanding the opportunities available to enhance the lives of the next generation and make a difference for attracting future Vikings by supporting scholarships online at give.vcsu.edu or by calling the VCSU Foundation.
When you're craving the taste of juicy, flavorful, locally sourced beef and pork, look no further than your locally owned Valley Meat Supply. At Valley Meat Supply, we take pride in bringing you the finest cuts of beef and pork straight from local producers. So whether you're planning a mouth-watering barbecue or a cozy family meal, choose Valley Meat Supply for the highest quality, locally grown beef, pork, and award-winning jerky, sticks, and sausage. Valley Meat Supply, West Main, Valley City. Your taste buds will thank you.
Are you on the right financial path? Are all your financial professionals on the same page? At LaRue Lockout Financial, you can be assured that your investment professional and tax professional are working together. Call Ryan LaRue at 701-845-6938 or James M. Lockout at CPA 701-845-1660. Services offered through Investment Advisors, a division of Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, and securities offered through Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer and member FINRA and SIPC.
Every body is different. Some experience injuries, while others need extra support.
I'll help you, Grandma.
At Jamestown Regional Medical Center, your health is what matters most. Our orthopedics and sports medicine team care for you and your unique needs. Their goal is to help you live your best life. Choose Jamestown Regional Medical Center for care of hips, shoulders, knees, and broken bones. Learn more at jrmcnd.com/orthopedics.
Fieldhouse, where we've made our way to halftime tonight in women's play, the debut of Viking basketball this evening here on KOVC. Glad to have you along with us tonight. The Viking women entering the contest at 0-1 on the year, taking on the University of Minnesota Morris. Morris hasn't played yet, and again, this is not an official game on Morris's schedule, so this will not count towards their record. For the Vikings, though, it will. The Vikings will count this matchup, and the Vikings lead by 10 as we go to halftime by a score of 36-26. Our halftime report tonight is brought to you by Rambo. We're in the business of making you look good. Rambo is your headquarters for all of your promotional products. If you're looking for promotional products or apparel, they can get it done for you fast. They'll make it look good, and they know how important it is to promote your team or business. So look up Rambo, R-A-M-B-O-W, Rambo, bringing you our halftime report for Viking basketball tonight. Well, a very different first quarter to second quarter. Minnesota Morris ends up shooting 45.5% from the field in the opening half, and considering they were at 38.5% at the end of a quarter, they really had a nice second quarter. They outscored the Vikings in the second quarter 16-14 and cut a 16-point Viking lead down to 10 when they got towards, cut it down to 5, I apologize. It went from 26-10 to 26-21 and an 11-0 Minnesota Morris run. But the Vikings recover well. They get a big three-point shot from Haley Roberts. Ellie Broughton scores on an offensive rebound for her 8th, and Adriana Torres looked like the Adriana Torres that we're used to. She scored 8 first-half points, and the Vikings take a 10-point lead into halftime by a score of 36-26. The numbers from the first half: Minnesota Morris 45.5% from the field on 10 of 22. They were 1 of 3 from the three-point line. They only took 3 three-point shots in the opening half. The Vikings were 14 of 31 from the field, 4 of 11 from the three-point line. That's a respectable percentage for the Vikings at 364, 36.4% from the three-point arc in that first half. The Vikings 4 of 6 the foul line. Minnesota Morris 5 of 7. The big numbers that really edge this in favor of the Vikings: Morris turned the basketball over 17 times in the first half of basketball. The Vikings with 12. The other number, the Vikings had 6 offensive rebounds compared to 3 for Minnesota Morris. Those little flashes in the game where the Vikings picked up some offensive change and they were able to do something with it, that was a big difference than forcing all those turnovers against Minnesota Morris. That's why the Vikings get 31 first-half shots. Morris gets just 22. In the end, though, the Vikings had only 4 more field goals than Morris did in that first half of play. The defense really did its job in that opening half. The individual numbers that we have for you here at halftime for Minnesota Morris: they will be led in the first half by a 9-point first half from Grace Perry, and that was off the bench tonight. Shelby Mortensen, also off the bench, comes in with 7. Grace Perry was 3 of 3 from the field, hit the lone 3 in the opening half, and Shelby Mortensen was 3 of 5 from the field in the opening half as well. 4 points each for Mallory Anderson and Lexus Red Thunder. Mallory Anderson had 7 rebounds in the first half to pace the Cougars in that category, and Maddie Grove with a bucket for 2 to lead the way for Minnesota Morris. For Valley City State, they'll be led by Haley Roberts. 10 points in the opening half, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. Ellie Broughton with a nice first half with 8. Adriana Torres with 8 as well. As far as the rebounding numbers are concerned, though, that's interesting. The Vikings had 16 total rebounds. Nobody had more than 3, but everybody that played picked up a rebound somewhere along the way. That's something you don't see very often. 2 points apiece for Ashlyn Diemert, Madison Spacier, Ellie Negan, Ellie Powell, and Katie Johnson. But Haley Roberts with a rebound. Ellie Broughton aboard. Ashlyn Diemert a rebound. Madison Spacier with a rebound. Rosie Anderson with 2. Elise Hebrink with a board. Allie Negan with a board. Madison Wilhelmy with a board. Adriana Torres with a rebound. 3 rebounds for Ellie Powell. Katie Johnson with 2. That's an interesting number when you can see that many rebounds coming out and the Vikings getting everybody into the act as far as rebounding the basketball tonight. That's a nice lift for Valley City State to get that edge going into halftime against the University of Minnesota Morris. So again, a nice night on the glass for Valley City State, particularly offensively. They forced 17 first half turnovers against Minnesota Morris. Haley Roberts, couple of splashes from the perimeter for 10 to lead the way for the Vikings. And the Vikings lead Minnesota Morris by a score of 36-26 at halftime. We'll come back with some news and notes, preview the Vikings men's matchup, and get you ready for a big weekend of sports coverage here on KOVC coming up, so stay with us. Viking basketball continues next from the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse here in Valley City on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC.
Ivy Real Estate Group, your locally owned real estate brokerage, is cheering for the home team. Listen to KOVC for the Ivy Real Estate Group Player of the Game following every Valley City Highliner and VCSU Vikings game.
Rambo, a proud sponsor and fan of Viking Athletics, has been serving North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota with quality logoed apparel and promotional products since 1979. With online store options built to meet the needs of your company, organization, or team, Rambo will ensure that the process of ordering is easy and accurate and that your items are received on time. When you're ready to put your logo to work, give Matt a call at 701-680-9585. Rambo, we're in the business of making you look good.
Why choose professional eye care centers? Let me count the whys. First, there are now 4 great doctors to see. Dr. Frank, Dr. Freilich, Dr. Jangula, and now welcoming Dr. Bond. Next is their many locations. You can now see one of their spectacular doctors in Jamestown, Valley City, Carrington, and Edgeley. And finally, their fantastic frame selection. And yes, all of their frames and lenses are backed by warranty. Visit ProEyeCareCenters.com and make an appointment today. Professional Eye Care Centers. Clearly the best.
Grotberg Electric believes in quality first, taking pride in the work and standing behind every project they do. They bring together the power, technology, and experience to keep your business online. The success of Grotberg Electric depends on 3 major ideals: the quality of their products, the commitment to their customers, and most of all, their customer service. Call Grotberg Electric today at 845-3010 or visit them online, grotbergelectric.com.
Lever's Foods, best quality, best price. Lever's Foods, best service, they're nice. Lever's Foods, they make everything right. Lever's Foods.
Celebrate Lever's Foods' 86th anniversary with great savings all this week on boneless pork loin roast, $2.86 a pound. Our family potatoes 5-pound bag just $1.86. Campbell's chunky soups only $1.86 a can, and fresh navel oranges $1.69 a pound. Delivery is available by calling 845-1732. Lever's Foods, Valley City, celebrating 86 years.
Hi, this is Clint from Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy in beautiful downtown Valley City, your only locally owned pharmacy since 1989. When you're locally owned, you care about your community and your customers. We offer a great selection of gifts and toys, as well as yarns, fabrics, sewing, and crafting. We are here for you from 9 to 5:30 weekdays and Saturdays 9 to 1. For all your pharmaceutical needs, give us a call, 845-5280.
Health Mart, taking time to listen and care.
Back to our coverage of Viking basketball, the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC. We're at halftime of women's play, and the Viking women leading the University of Minnesota Morris tonight by a score of 36-26. Our halftime report is brought to you this evening by Rambo. We're in the business of making you look good. Well, one of the big breaking news stories around basketball tonight is that legendary college men's basketball coach Bobby Knight has passed away at the age of 83. Bobby Knight, obviously very famous for his success in coaching college basketball and also for some of the fiery temper issues that he showed us throughout the course of coaching basketball as well. Obviously made famous for his time as the head coach of Indiana. Also spent some time as the head coach of Texas Tech, as well as other locales throughout the course of his career. But it was as the head coach of Indiana that really made Bobby Knight famous. And one of the legendary coaches in the game of college men's basketball, passing away at the age of 83. That's some of the big breaking news tonight from college men's basketball. That'll be a story that'll be followed up on throughout the course of the day tomorrow as well. So a big story there for the college basketball world here tonight. We'll be following that throughout the course of the day coming up tomorrow. This is game one of a doubleheader tonight. The Viking men are set to take the floor next against the University of Minnesota Morris. We'll have that broadcast for you coming up tonight as well here on the Voice of the Vikings, KOVC. The Viking men 1-1 after their opening weekend, if you will, split with the University of Brandon out of Brandon, Manitoba, winning the opening game 90-80, losing the second game 108-105 in overtime. So clearly a rehashed Viking men's basketball roster with several new players after the Vikings graduated 9 seniors a year ago. Well, they're loaded up with some new talent, and they are ready to rock and or roll. And so we'll see a very explosive basketball team tonight for the Valley City State University Vikings, and they're set to come onto the floor this evening with a projected start time of 7:30. We'll be taking a break in between games, and we'll come back for an abbreviated pregame report for game number 2 tonight, and then we'll get ready for tip-off, again scheduled at around 7:30 with the start of that one tonight. Here are the Viking women leading the University of Minnesota Morris by a score of 36-26. And we'll come back and tell you about where we're going. Coming up next, we've got some broadcasts throughout the course of the weekend. That will be important ones, so stay with us. We'll return and wrap up our halftime report in just a couple of moments here tonight on Viking Basketball.
This is Dr. Ryan Lorenz, physical therapist at Mobility Plus Rehabilitation, with offices in Enderlin, Lisbon, Gwinner, and Valley City. Our mission is to provide exceptional physical and occupational therapy by highly skilled therapists to minimize pain and maximize mobility, which quickly allows you to return to the quality of life you desire. We will evaluate and educate you on your condition, review treatment options, and create an effective treatment plan to solve your impairments based on your unique situation and needs. I invite you to call our offices at Mobility Plus today.
This is Krista Thilgis, a physician assistant with Sanford Health, Underland, and Valley City. It's officially that time of year to start thinking about your annual flu shots. Protect yourself and your loved ones by booking your appointment to receive your flu shot now. Contact us at Sanford Health Underland at 437-3320 or Valley City at 845-6000 to schedule your appointment.
Flu vaccines are recommended for ages 6 and up and can be received at any Sanford Health appointment. To self-schedule, visit Sanford MyChart. Sanford Health, here for you, here for good.
Second half basketball about to begin here this evening. And the Viking women leading by a score of 36-26. This weekend, Saturday, a doubleheader of local sports. We'll start it from Dickinson with a 3 o'clock kickoff for Viking football. Valley City State on the road this weekend to take on Dickinson State University. And we'll have that matchup for you coming up on Saturday with our pregame report scheduled for a 2 o'clock Central Time start. And we'll kick it off at 3. And you'll hear that matchup coming up on KOVC on Saturday. When that is over, we will transition to Fargo South High School, where Jerry Edwards will be in place for Highliner play-in volleyball. The Highlanders finishing 9th in the Eastern Dakota Conference standings, and they will play in to the East Region Tournament against number 8 Fargo South on Saturday evening with a start time of 6 p.m. Stay with us for that coming up here on KOVC this weekend. Jay Quate will inbound the basketball for Minnesota Morris, and we're back underway with basketball. Morris now moving right to left. The Vikings leading 36-26. Quate baseline jump shot, missed it, pulls up, and the second's going to draw a foul against Ellie Broughton. That'll be Broughton second. An offensive rebound early for Minnesota Morris, and that's a place where they really struggled to come up with some production in the first half, was on the offensive glass. So Jay Quate following her shot hard, coming up with an offensive board, and will earn a trip to the foul line for Minnesota Morris. Her first is good. First scoring for Jay Quate, one of 3 players that returns for Minnesota Morris that averaged over 8 a game a year ago. Mallory Anderson is on the floor tonight. Jaden Sondral is in street clothes tonight on the bench. Second foul shot is no good, and the rebound to Haley Roberts for Valley City State. The Vikings have their lead trimmed to 9 as they work their way in the front court. Roberts, a catch-and-shoot 3 that comes up short. Rebound swings to the perimeter. Mallory Anderson takes it away from Minnesota Morris, and the Cougars will work back into the front court with it. Grove left side off the dribble. 6-foot point guard. A stop against Haley Roberts. A look in off a double pivot. Whistle timeout taken by Minnesota Morris. The Vikings force a timeout from the Cougars after Maddie Grove got tied up on the perimeter. This will be a 30-second timeout for Mobility Plus Rehabilitation. The Vikings by 9, 36-27. We're back with more in a moment.
Valley City State University, it's an exciting time as we experience enrollment growth Support of the VCSU V500 Scholarship Program is making a difference, now more than ever. This is Al LaFave, president of VCSU. This rich tradition of V500 is as much a part of our future as it is our past. Involvement in this program helps students succeed at VCSU. Please consider joining us with a membership today and keep VCSU moving forward. Visit give.vcsu.edu today to make a difference.
Off the timeout by Minnesota Morris. Cougars with the basketball, trailing the Vikings by 9 at 36-27. Maddie Grove looking inside. A turn and look towards the basket by Claire Stark. She'll send it back to Maddie Grove with the perimeter. Grove, a baseline penetration, scores, and is going to the foul line. Hit in the act of shooting on a high bank shot, and Ellie Broughton is called for her third personal foul. Maddie Grove with 4, chance at a three-point play. And the Cougars can be back within 2 possessions as Broughton will take a seat. Madison Wilhelmy will step onto the floor to take that spot with Broughton now in foul trouble. Grove's bonus is good. Maddie Grove now with 5 and a three-point play. Cuts the Viking lead to 6 at 36-30. A drive on the far side by Ashlyn Deemert. She'll dribble off the leg of Rexus Red Thunder. And now a ball to the perimeter, picked away by Maddie Grove, intended for Wilhelmy. Grove to the glass. Takeaway, breakaway. And the Viking lead is cut to 4, 36-32. The smallest lead the Vikings have had since going up by 16 early. The Vikings facing some adversity. Let's see how they handle it. Deemer to pull up off the dribble. Long jump shot, no good. Rebound out to the perimeter. Haley Roberts able to fight off Maddie Grove and come up with the basketball. Deemer will follow it up with a 3, and it's good. Ashlyn Deemer hitting from the top of the game. Big three-point shot for Ashlyn Deemert. Breaks up a 6-0 run for the Cougars that started the second half, and the Vikings are back up 7 at 39-32. Grove crossover backcourt, looks down low, found Mallory Anderson, and Rosie Anderson's going to be called for a foul coming over the top on Mallory Anderson. Rosie Anderson's second for the Vikings, and that'll be the third team foul against Valley City State early in this third quarter. They've committed 3 in just a minute 40. And Rosie Anderson will have to step off. We'll see the return of Ellie Powell coming into that position. Powell, freshman out of Bowman, North Dakota, former Bowman County Bulldog for the Vikings. And Jay Quate will inbound the basketball for Minnesota Morris. She looks into Maddie Grove, left block, back to Quate on the perimeter. Quate drives, turns it back to Grove from 15. The jumper no good. Rebound collision, foul coming up. And that's going to stay with Minnesota Morris. That is the 4th foul against the Vikings in the quarter. And this time Madison Wilhelmy is the guilty party. So the Vikings getting physical, perhaps too physical. And Minnesota Morris will shoot the penalty for 8 minutes and 12 seconds of the third quarter of play. Mallory Anderson taking a look inside. Red Thunder trying to clear out hard inside against Madison Spacier. That's a good battle that's going on in there. Grove drives in, drug a pivot foot, got away with that. A shot is no good. Red Thunder had the rebound and lost it. Spacier clears the rebound out to the right side. Roberts a crossover, hard take to the basket. Defended well inside against Quate. Vanessa Johnson wants a foul on that. She doesn't get it, and she's furious with the officials as Minnesota Morris comes away with the basketball, still within 7. Red Thunder on the high post, left elbow. Turns it back off to the right for Maddie Grove. Now to Quate on the top of the key. Quate takes a look in. A drive inside, a forearm from Claire Stark. She turns, comes up empty on a bank shot inside. Ellie Powell with the rebound. Cougars getting away with a lot of contact here. A drive inside, Spacier gets hit, and that will be a foul. That'll keep the ball with Valley City State. The foul will go against Mallory Anderson. It'll be her second of the game in the first against Minnesota Morris, and Morris will make a line change with 4 new players coming into the matchup. Wilkinson returns. Grace Powell, who was the leading scorer in the opening half, returns. We'll see the return of Shelby Mortensen, who had some good looks in that opening half as well. A 3 by Deemert, right corner, she hit it strong. Ashlyn Deemert, a couple of big shots here in the third quarter. Deemert with 8 now in the game. One of the leading scorers coming back from a year ago at 11.3 points. She's getting in the scoring act, and the Vikings are back up 10 by a score of 42-32. And now we'll see a jump ball. Haley Roberts gets a hand on one that Alice Wilkinson was trying to offload. That'll force the jump ball call, and the Vikings will have it back on the alternating arrow. Spacer out, Adriana Torres will come back into the matchup. New to the game for the Cougars to complete their line change a moment ago was Reese Wassink. So 4 new players into the game for Minnesota Morris. Roberts in the right corner for Valley City State. The Vikings up 10, 42-32 in the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Wilhelmia stop, Torres left wing, got a step, driving baseline, scoop off the glass, and Torres has got 10. It is so heartwarming to see Adriana Torres have success after all the work she had to do in the offseason to get ready. And now the Vikings force a turnover. A pass down low from Perry is picked off by Ellie Powell. The Vikings outload to Diemert for 3 in transition. Diemert lights it again. 11 points for Ashlyn Diemert, taking the 3 in the transition game, and the Vikings have run their lead from 4 to 15 at 47-32. A drive right side, Reese Wassink in, kicking back out. Perry for 3, nibbles off the front. Rebound loose in the paint. Powell got to it for the Vikings on a great block out from Haley Roberts. Diemert hard to the rack, shot blocked. Rebound picked up and followed by Ellie Powell. And Powell goes to the glass and scores. An eruption from the Vikings in the midway point of the third quarter. Valley City State now up 17 on their biggest lead of the night at 49-32. Foul coming up. Diemert from behind running into Maddie Grove, and that will put Grove on the foul line. Diemert's first, and that will be the 5th against Valley City State. So foul shots the rest of the way here in this third quarter for UM Morris. Elise Hebrink will come back into the game, replacing Haley Roberts for the Vikings. Katie Johnson re-enters for Ashlyn Diemert. Diemert 3 threes in the third quarter. Just finding some open shots and a very dormant score in the first half. Ashlyn's going to be a leader this year for the Vikings, and she found her 3-point shot in that stretch and really changed the course of the game for the moment. First foul shot for Maddie Grove is good. You can expect the coach's kid to be a good foul shooter, right? She's Tim Grove's daughter. Tim Grove, the head coach at UM Morris. Maddie Grove 4 of 4 on the night, now 5 of 5. Perfect from the foul line for Maddie Grove. She'll get a break as Mallory Anderson comes in to replace her. And the Viking lead cut to 49-34. Just under 6 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Long way to go here in this third stanza. Adriana Torres, top of the key, working to the foul line. A turn by Powell facing up, popping the jumper, missing it. Katie Johnson, an offensive rebound, and fouled. Ball will stay with Valley City State. It's another whole board for the Vikings. They've been physical the entire time, and they have not let their foul trouble really interfere with them. And that'll be the third foul against Mallory Anderson tonight. It'll be the second team foul of the quarter against Minnesota Morris. Madison Wilhelmy will inbound the basketball. Powell stepping left, ball faking, turning, falling away, missing. Torres comes up with the basketball and turns it out to Elise Hebrink. It'll work right side. Katie Johnson, hard take in, reversal back to Powell in the lane. She drives the basket and drew a foul from behind against Shelby Mortensen. Vikings running a little circuit right in the paint. Going hard with Johnson, reversing back to Ellie Powell, who they wanted to take the shot. Powell draws the foul. And that will put the freshman on the foul line. And we'll see what she can get done from the stripe. First foul shot on the way for Ellie Powell is good. Ellie Powell out of Bowman, North Dakota, freshman. One of a couple of freshmen that are on this Viking roster that have played a lot tonight. There are a handful of other freshmen on it as well. A couple of ladies from Central Cass that a lot of people around here know. Claire and Delaney Cotton. A couple of twins from Central Cass that have made their way to Valley City State in the offseason. Ellie Powell knocks down both ends. The Vikings back up 17 at 51-34. Ball right side with Alice Wilkinson for Minnesota Morris. Wilkinson out between the rings, working towards the right side, drawing defense from Johnson tight. Goes to the bounce pass in the post entry to Mortensen. Down low to Perry, and the shot's no good. A very, very late whistle. Is it on the shot or on the rebound? It won't matter because it's going to be 2 on the line. They're going to call it on the shot. The foul will go against Adriana Torres. Torres will pick up her second personal foul. Some of these whistles have been rather late after the shot's gotten away so far tonight. Grace Perry foul line. First is good. That'll give her a double-figure night. Grace Perry now with 10. The first double-figure score of the night for Minnesota Morris. Viking lead trimmed to 16 and now 15 as Perry knocks down both ends. And it's 51-36. 11 points from Grace Perry tonight for the University of Minnesota Morris. Post entry pass to Ellie Powell. High post right side off to Elise Hebrink. And now Katie Johnson, left wing 3. Nibbles around and comes in on the double kiss off the glass for a 3 off the left wing for Katie Johnson. high off the glass, coming back in, the familiar roll for the Vikings. And the Vikings extend their lead to 18 at 54-36. Perry through traffic to the glass, dribbling through and scoring. Grace Perry now with 13 points tonight for Minnesota Morris. The Vikings fast breaking up. Here's Johnson for three again, and it's good from the right wing in transition. Katie Johnson with 8. Lead now to 19 for the Vikings at 57-38 with 4:20 left to go here in the third quarter. The Vikings finding their three-point shot. That's 5 threes here in the third quarter. Another foul against Valley City State with the transition defense, and it will go against Elise Hebrink, her second. Vanessa Johnson, the head coach of the Vikings, grimaces here on the near sideline. In the meantime, Grace Perry with 13 points tonight and 4 of 4 from the foul line. She's 5 of 5 as she connects again. Lead is 57-39, an 18-point lead for the Vikings on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard, and still a ton of time left in the third quarter play. Second foul shot is also good. 15 for Grace Perry tonight. 6 of 6 from the foul line for Perry. The lead is 17 at 57-40. Wilhelmy, top of the key, Johnson, Adriana Torres, ball faking to the right. A look, driving with the left hand to stop in the lane, pulls up from 10 and scores. Adriana Torres off the dribble, has a dozen. 59-40, the Vikings back up 19. Near side with Alice Wilkinson against the pressure defense of the Vikings in full court mode. They'll trap at the half line, and they do, and they've got Perry stuck in the trap. Hebrink and Torres. Perry dribbles out of it, looks down low, had a ball deflected, got it back to the basket, missing short. Rebound out to the perimeter. Ellie Powell saves it, leaves it off to Elise Hebrink, and the Vikings try to fast break back up the floor. Wilhelmy driving in, kicking out. Johnson head fake, baseline move, hard take to the basket. Katie Johnson for 10. 8 here in the third quarter, and Katie Johnson, the junior out of Pura, Minnesota, the former Yellow Jacket, finding her way to big numbers tonight off the bench for the Vikings. 61-40, the Vikings lead by 21. Wilkinson out by the time stripe, driving left, hard take to the foul line, and a travel coming up. She dragged the pivot foot trying to stop. Line change for Morris, Jay Quate, Maddie Grove back in. Who else coming in here? We'll see Lexus Red Thunder back in the post along with Claire Stark coming back into the post as well. 4 change out. The Vikings with a 61-40 lead. Hard to believe that this game was cut to 36-32 at one point. Post entry pass deflected by the Cougars up and off the bottom of the backboard. They'll say last touch by Ellie Powell. And this is going back to Valley City State. You go back to that moment when it was 36-32. This is a 25-8 run for Valley City State in the third quarter since their lead was cut to 4. 61-40 in favor of Valley City State, and a pass to the near side for Jay Quate offline. She rescued it. Maddie Grove off the running jump shot, missed it. Torres clears the rebound for Valley City State, wants to run. She looks left side of the floor, too high for Katie Johnson, turned around. Trying to feed the hot player with a basketball. Johnson's had a great run here in this third quarter of basketball, but that one too strong for her and sails out of bounds. Cougars inbound. Red Thunder comes into Maddie Grove in the backcourt. Down to 2:35 to play here in the fourth. A look by Grove coming back to the far side for Red Thunder. Back to Grove on the stripe, coming off near side, driving towards the baseline. A stop in the corner, wheels it back to Jay Quate on the wing. Quate off a bump, looking down low. Stark, baseline move against Johnson. And Johnson with a foul. That'll be her third. Correction, second for Katie Johnson. The Vikings, of course, have been in the penalties since, I believe, the 8:19 mark of the third quarter. So everything's 2 shots, and Claire Stark, who is the offended party, will go to the foul line. The Cougars have just 3 field goals in this third quarter. Everything has been from the stripe. And in this third quarter, I have them on my sheet for 8 of 8, rather 9 of 10. From the foul line. Minnesota Morris with 9 points from the foul line in this quarter will be 9 of 11 as Stark comes up empty on the back end, and the rebound ends up being deflected out of bounds by Jay Quate of Minnesota Morris. But a 9-point quarter for Minnesota Morris from the stripe. I mean, you take those off the board, and pretty soon this is a runaway for Valley City State, as it is a 20-point game at this point as Perry knocks a cross-court pass out of bounds. Hebrink trying to find Katie Johnson on the weak side. Ends up beyond the sideline. Johnson off the inbounds. Play for 3, and she hits a turning 3-point shot. 11 in the quarter, 13 the game for Katie Johnson. And the lead is 64-41 Valley City State. Katie Johnson unable to miss throughout this third quarter of play. Quante on the top of the key, flexing off towards the right side. A stop against Hebrink, reverses back to Stark. Stark doesn't want to handle the basketball, wants to get rid of it, can't find a player to go to. Perry runs back over to take it from her and steps back out on the perimeter. A stop and a look down low, again finding Stark in the post. She'll score and one. Ellie Powell beaten on the play. Stark gets her inside for the up and under, the scoop and score. And now she'll go to the foul line as Ellie Powell will commit her second foul tonight. Clock will halt with 1:42 to go, and the Cougars have a chance at a three-point play. Ellie Powell will step out of the game. That's a good sequence for Ellie Powell here in this third quarter. Allie Negan comes in to replace her. And Claire Stark is at the foul line looking to complete a three-point play for the Cougars. It's off the heel and comes in on a double kiss good for Claire Stark. 4 points for Claire Stark. Lead cut back to 20. At 64-44, the Vikings on top. Torres looking. Top of the key for Wilhelmy. Kick to Johnson. Left corner three. Why not? It rolls off the front. Offensive board for Elise Hebrink on the weak side. The Vikings back to work. Wilhelmy, a look at a three. Passes up on it. Torres will take the three. That won't fall. Negan fighting for the rebound, but it's pulled down inside by Shelby Mortensen for the University of Minnesota Morris. Grace Perry underneath. Claire Stark open. Can't handle it against the pressure. It's out of bounds. Another turnover, and the ball goes back to Valley City State. One thing to mention here, the end wall here at the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse on what would be the south end of the gym. They've got new matting up that shows Viking ships in the background, a red sky. It says "We All Row." That's a nice addition to the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse. Looks nice as a backdrop here at the Fieldhouse. Ball on the right side, Elise Hebrink, a stop on the baseline, out to Wilhelmy. Three from the right wing is short. Offensive rebound again. Allie Negan comes up with the board. Vikings back to work, and now we'll see a timeout taken by the Vikings with 57.7 seconds remaining until the end of the third quarter. This will be a 30-second timeout for the Vikings. Vikings leading 64-44. Timeout for Mobility Plus Rehabilitation. We're back with more Viking basketball next.
When gathering around the table with family and friends or enjoying a quiet meal by yourself, make certain you have the finest cuts of meat from Valley Meat Supply. Quality steaks and pork chops that make every bite a true delight. Valley Meat offers a wide variety to satisfy every taste and budget, including incredible sausage, several varieties of cheese, baked beans, award-winning beef jerky and snack sticks, and a great selection of spices. Valley Meat Supply, your locally owned, locally sourced meat market, located on West Main Street in Valley City.
Timeout taken by the Vikings. The Vikings leading by 20 at 64-44. Valley City State with the basketball following a timeout. Less than a minute to play in the third quarter. Elise Hebrink trying to find the baseline with Adriana Torres. Torres picks up a loose basketball, drives in amongst three Cougars, kicks out to Johnson. Three-point shot. Katie Johnson hits again. 7 threes in the quarter for the Vikings. Katie Johnson has hit 4 threes. She's got 14 in the quarter, 16 for the game, and the Vikings are back up 23. Grove to the right side for Mallory Anderson. Back to Grove on top. Grove working near side. Jay Quate looking into the post. Lead pass, draws a double team. Ball knocked out of bounds by Allie Negan. It will stay Cougar basketball. 12 seconds left to shoot. 23.2 to play here in the third quarter. Grove will step off. We'll see the return of Alice Wilkinson. Valley City State will make a change. Olivia Backus, another freshman for the Vikings. A guard out of Sandy, Utah, will step into the matchup for Valley City State. Inbounds pass will come in to the near side of the floor, and a pull-up on the way that is no good, out of the hands of Shelby Mortensen. The Vikings with Katie Johnson on the rebound, and Backus will bring the team into the front court. Johnson dribbles around pressure from 14 on the run. That nibbles and won't fall. 10 seconds to play in the quarter as Mallory Anderson grabs the basketball from Minnesota Morris on the rebound. Wilkinson driving away into the front court, stop and go, pulls up and got fouled. 2.7 seconds left. It was Backus that just stepped in. Had to get into a roll defensively, and Backus is called for her first, and the Vikings have just put a plethora of fouls on the board here in the third quarter. They stopped counting at 5, and it's probably a good thing. 2.7 seconds left into the quarter, and the first foul shot for Alice Wilkinson is no good. Been a huge foul shooting quarter. 10 of 12, 10 of 13 now from the foul line for Minnesota Morris. 10 of 14, though, both ends missed here, and Rebound run down by Negan, and time runs out just as she was falling out of bounds, and that'll be the end of the third. Katie Johnson puts her signature on a great quarter for Valley City State. 14 of her 16 come in the third quarter. She hit 4 threes, and the Vikings lead by 23 at the end of the third. It's 67-44 Valley City State on our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. The fourth quarter's next. This is Viking basketball on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC.
Rambo, a proud sponsor and fan of Viking Athletics, has been serving North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota with quality logoed apparel and promotional products since 1979. With online store options built to meet the needs of your company, organization, or team, Rambo will ensure that the process of ordering is easy and accurate and that your items are received on time. When you're ready to put your logo to work, give Matt a call at 701-680-9585. Rambo, we're in the business of making you look good.
At CHI Mercy Health, we believe human kindness is at the root of all healing, providing care on a human level, courage when it's needed most, and a connection that's ever present among us all. Human kindness is meant to be shared. It puts a smile on someone's face and seeks to do the same for others. Take the time to nourish what's inside and watch your life flourish outside, because taking care of yourself is an act of human kindness. Just like human kindness, happiness can come from the most unexpected places. Whether it's from your friend, your dog, or a memory, embrace it and pass it on. CHI Mercy Health of Valley City.
We go to the fourth quarter. The Vikings leading 67-44 over the University of Minnesota Morris. Women's play tonight, part of a doubleheader here at the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse. Men's basketball is next. The Viking men 1-1 on the season after a 90-point performance and a 90-80 win, and a 105-point performance and a 108-105 overtime loss to the University of Brandon last week. They will face the University of Minnesota Morris going into an exhibition game by the official definition for UM Morris in their first action of the year. And that comes up with a 7:30 tip-off time tonight, thereabouts. And we'll have it for you here on KOVC. The Vikings leading here 67-44. They force another turnover against the Cougars on the opening fourth quarter possession tonight. The ball deflected out of bounds by Jay Quate, intended for Ashlyn Deemer. Through three quarters, Minnesota Morris has turned it over 21 times to the Vikings 15. But in that third quarter, Minnesota Morris cut the Viking lead to 36-32. And the Vikings run it out from 4 to 23, and it's now 25. As we'll see a pull-up from Madison Spacer. Spacer with her fourth point tonight, but Ashlyn Deemer hit 3 threes in that third quarter of basketball, and 4 were hit by Katie Johnson. Johnson, the leading scorer, with 16 points after 3 quarters. Quate drives to the basket and scores off a spin move inside. Quate with her first field goal tonight, one of the leading scorers coming back for Minnesota Morris, and she comes into the night looking at an 8.5-point performance per game a year ago. That's her first field goal tonight. Post entry pass to Rosie Anderson for the Vikings is too strong. Knocked out of bounds, and Minnesota Morris will get the basketball back. Take a look at some of the numbers that we have through 3 quarters of basketball as play continues. The real bright spots tonight, again, Katie Johnson, that hot shooting performance in the third quarter, and Adriana Torres, a really strong night. 12 points, 3 rebounds for Torres through 3 quarters. She's had a good role and has trusted that leg that was injured last year throughout the course of the night. Has had a good first step. We got a foul coming up against the Vikings as Jay Quate tried to drive to the basket. Foul will go against Rosie Anderson. The Vikings ran into foul trouble in that third quarter as Minnesota Morris comes into the fourth quarter at 15 of 21 from the foul line. The Vikings 6 of 8. In the era of the quarter system in women's basketball, it's odd to see a team shoot 21 foul shots through 3 quarters of basketball, but it happened because the Vikings were in the bonus or in the penalty with 8 minutes, 19 seconds to play in the third. Cougars with the basketball. Ball on the right side of the floor with Mallory Anderson. She'll find Quante, back to Anderson on top, drive right side of the lane, left the ball behind it, rolls out of bounds, and this will go back to Valley City State. Rebounding advantage, 30-22 Vikings, including, check this out, 11-4 on the offensive glass for Valley City State tonight. That has been a huge part of the game. 4 scorers in double figures for the Vikings, led by Katie Johnson, 16. Adriana Torres with 12. 11 for Ashlyn Deemer. She tries again here for 3 and misses. Madison Spacer, an offensive rebound, looking to reverse back to Deemer, and a foul coming up. It's going to go against Deemer. as Jay Quate stepped in front of Deemer, and apparently Deemer will be called for the reach foul, her second. And 10 points for Haley Roberts, and she did not score in that third quarter, but 4 double-figure scores through 3 quarters tonight for Valley City State. Ellie Broughton with 8, and she had to come out due to some foul trouble in the third quarter, or the Vikings may have had 5 in double figures through 3 quarters. Here's a travel against Alice Wilkinson. This trap for the Vikings has been uber successful tonight for Valley City State. Minnesota Morris with 21 turnovers through 3 quarters tonight, and that's been a huge part of the basketball game. Roberts off to the top. Here's Broughton for 3. It's off the heel of the rim. Rebound trickles out to the perimeter. It's a 3-on-1 break for the Cougars. The Vikings get back quickly. Jay Quate will hold up as she comes across the line. Works right side, kicks down low. Another foul. They're going to take it Ellie Broughton again, or is this Haley Roberts on the back end? They're going to get Ellie Broughton. That'll be the 4th against Ellie Broughton. She played 31 minutes in the opening game of the year against the University of Jamestown last week. But tonight has had her minutes in the second half limited due to foul trouble. Madison Wilhelmy's at the table, and she'll replace Ellie Broughton after picking up that 4th foul. The lead for the Vikings is 69-46 on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. 7:46 to play in the 4th quarter, and another turnover by Morris. Play out to the perimeter. This Morris team is big, but one of the places where they're going to struggle this year is they're not particularly athletic. They've got some issues trying to get openings in this Viking defense tonight. And the Vikings have used the speed game to really put the pressure on. Anderson out to Roberts, an open 3 right corner, off the front of the rim, no good. Rosie Anderson, an offensive rebound, back to Roberts, and the Vikings go right back to work. Spacer on the right side, a stop and a look and a foul. Either Perry or Maddie Grove, we'll see who is in the corner. It's going to be Perry that picks up the call. Second against Grace Perry. One of the things you can see here early in the 4th quarter as well is that Morris is getting run down. The Vikings have just run at them all night long, and Minnesota Morris is really starting to gasp for some air out there at all the positions on the floor. Shot from Deemer, it won't go. Rosie Anderson ties up a basketball on the rebound inside. It'll be a jump ball, and the arrow's going to say Viking basketball. So another strong physical play for Rosie Anderson for the Vikings. A freshman out of Moorhead, Minnesota, got just a few minutes last year during the season and is expected to do some big things. She started the game against Minnesota Morris, or rather against the University of Jamestown, started tonight against Minnesota Morris as well, and is going to be one of the main post players for the Vikings throughout the season. Inbounds pass to Deemer, catch and shoot 3, that nibbles and won't fall. The Vikings were 7 of 11 from the 3-point line through the 3 quarters of play that we had, so that 3-point line beginning to slow down just a little bit for them. And I may have that wrong. They were 11 of 22. My apologies. Ball knocked out of bounds near side, intended for Quate by Madison Spacer. It'll stay Cougar basketball. The Vikings shot 500 from the 3-point line for the game after 3 quarters. 11 of 22 from the 3-point line. That's slowing down a little bit here in the 4th quarter. Quate inside, getting free on a loose basketball, turning to the basket and missing off the glass hard. Deemer at the rebound, the outlet pass. Wilhelmy tried to go court wide to Spacer and had it stolen. Perry driving to the glass, count it 1. Deemer got back defensively, committed the bump. Grace Perry scores her 17th tonight and will go to the foul line for the bonus. Deemer commits her 3rd. And once again, the Vikings are in foul trouble. That'll be the 4th team foul against the Vikings here in the 4th quarter. So another 6 minutes and 46 seconds with the penalty for Minnesota Morris. They're going to have 15 minutes of penalty basketball in the second half. There's only 20 minutes of it. Grace Perry finishes for her 18th, but it was 8:19 in the 3rd quarter, 6:46 in the 4th quarter. So over 15 minutes with the penalty advantage. Spacer, top of the key 3, she hits it. Madison Spacer pulling up and hitting another 3-point shot for the Vikings. She's got 7. And the Vikings are back up 23 at 72-49. Front half of the doubleheader, men's matchup coming up. Good start for Viking basketball tonight here on KOVC. Wilkinson hitting from mid-range. First 2 points for Alice Wilkinson tonight. And the Viking lead cut to 21 at 72-51. Spacer offloading to Haley Roberts, right side. Court wide again to Spacer. Now Wilhelmy on top. Wilhelmy taking a look, and we've got a 3-second call against Rosie Anderson. 3rd 3-second call tonight. 2nd against the Vikings. Ellie Powell back in the matchup. Haley Roberts, Adriana Torres, Katie Johnson all return. We'll see Lexus Red Thunder back in the matchup for University of Minnesota Morris. And the inbounds play will come in from Grace Perry for the Cougars. She finds Maddie Grove backcourt. Ball near side for Mallory Anderson. And the ball back towards the right wing again for Perry. And now Grove once more, and they break off the Viking pressure. Ball right side, Wilkinson. They look down low for Grove. That one too strong, and a bounce post entry. Strong and all the way across the floor. Turnover. And the turnover number just continues to increase for the Cougars tonight. Viking women with the basketball once again, under 6 to play here in the fourth quarter. Wilhelmie a stop. Looking near side, Elise Hebring comes back to the basketball. Now Torres, left side for Katie Johnson. Johnson a stop, a look into Torres on the foul line. Torres turns, got to the glass. Shot was altered from behind by Red Thunder. Ball's on the floor, picked up underneath by Wilkinson, and the Cougars drive out with the basketball. Wilkinson a stop on a short dribble in the top of the key, retreats, comes back to Perry, left side Maddie Grove. Grove taking a look inside. Wilkinson cuts the baseline, but can't get the ball there. Ball comes back out to Mallory Anderson. Shot clock approaching 10 seconds. Ball right side with Perry. Anderson again on top. Hard take to the basket, found an opening and scores. 6 points for Mallory Anderson tonight. And the Viking lead cut to 19 at 72-53 at the midway point of the fourth quarter. Katie Johnson again, stepping out to the left elbow, and Johnson scores her 18th point tonight. What a night for Katie Johnson. Johnson, the former Perham Yellow Jacket. Fun to watch her really explode tonight. She had good minutes a year ago, but didn't show us this type of scoring ability. Tonight, she's looking for her shot, and she's finding it. Maddie Grove, baseline move, and that's a foul. Elise Hebring trying to close out as the help side defender, and got her on the back end. Elise Hebrink with 3. And with 4:35 to go, Maddie Grove is going to the foul line. During the shots, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is Viking basketball on the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley.
This is 1490 KOVC AM Valley City and 96.3 K242CZ Valley City.
The voice of the Valley.
First one good. Second one for Grove is not. Rebound battle underneath. Won by Ellie Powell. That'll be Grove's first miss from the foul line tonight. She has 10, and the Viking lead is 20 as a travel is committed by Katie Johnson. And the ball will go back to Minnesota Morris. The Vikings leading 74-54 on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard from the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse tonight. Viking basketball with its debut this evening here on KOVC. Glad to have you along. Ryan Cunningham with you here tonight. Red Thunder with the basketball against the trap, finding Perry in a loose ball. Then Wilhelmie picked it from behind, but can't control it. It ends up rolling out of bounds. The effort this Vikings team has put together tonight, pressuring the basketball, has really been something unique. Ball on the right side of the floor, Mallory Anderson. Off to the right side, Maddie Grove for the Cougars. Coming back off the wing towards the top of the key. Hands to Perry, working back to the ball. Mallory Anderson left corner. She'll put down the lefty dribble, drives baseline and scores. Mallory Anderson now with 8. And the Viking lead cut to 18 at 74-56. Still a little under 4 minutes to go, so there's some pressure for the Vikings to perform offensively here as Maddie Grove is called for a reach-in foul. That'll be her first foul tonight. You hit another shot here, you cut this down to 5 possessions, you get a couple of turnovers from the Vikings, 30-second shot clocks, and I mean, that can be an effective way to dig your way back into a game like this. So it's not like this one's over. The Vikings have to continue to do a little something for at least a couple of minutes. How about a long 3 from Madison Wilhelmie? She was a step beyond the men's three-point line. Wilhelmie just steps up and is cool and collected as an ice cube, knocks down a 3-point shot from the left wing, and the lead is 21 at 77-56. Mallory Anderson looking underneath, and Maddie Grove pulls up and scores her 12th on a broken play that the Cougars were fortunate to maintain possession of the basketball on. Lead 77-58 for the Vikings, a 19-point edge in our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Johnson, ball faking, stepping to the right corner. Wilhelmie loads up again for 3. That one's short. This time the rebound underneath. Alexis Red Thunder from Minnesota Morris. She'll outlet to Alice Wilkinson. Cougars back up front. Clock ticking down to 3 minutes to go. Mallory Anderson to the right side. A look inside by Jay Quate. She'll reverse back to the top for Anderson. Couple of jab steps, left foot, driving left side of the lane to the basket. Left it short. This time Ellie Powell comes up with the basketball. And Mallory Anderson either is hurt or frustrated she didn't get a foul call. Katie Johnson for 3 in transition won't fall. Torres and O board. Had that shot rejected underneath by Red Thunder. Ball comes down with Red Thunder. The outlet pass looking for Maddie Grove is too strong. It'll go back to Valley City State. You can see here that the Cougars have really tried to speed up their transition game. They're looking to get the ball out of their backcourt as quickly as they can against this Viking pressure. And now we'll see Tim Grove and the Cougars calling a timeout with 2:38 left to go here in quarter number 4. The Vikings leading 77-58 on our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. We have a timeout for Mobility Plus Rehabilitation. This is Viking basketball on the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC.
Are you on the right financial path? Are all your financial professionals on the same page? At LaRue Lockout Financial, you can be assured that your investment professional and tax professional are working together. Call Ryan LaRue at 701-845-6938 or James M. Lockout at CPA 701-845-1660. Services offered through Investment Advisors, a division of Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, and securities offered through Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer and member FINRA and SIPC.
Every body is different. Some experience injuries, while others need extra support.
I'll help you, Grandma.
At Jamestown Regional Medical Center, your health is what matters most. Our orthopedics and sports medicine team care for you and your unique needs. Their goal is to help you live your best life. Choose Jamestown Regional Medical Center for care of hips, shoulders, knees, and broken bones. Learn more at jrmcnd.com/orthopedics.
Out of the timeout, the Vikings with the basketball leading 77-58. Viking basketball tonight here on KOVC. Ellie Powell with a high post, kicking out left wing. Ellie Broughton for 3, rims in and won't fall. Ellie Broughton looking for a double-figure night, following up an 11-point night against the University of Jamestown last week, comes out empty. Vikings in some control of the game, up by 19 points with 2:10 to play. Here in the fourth quarter, Grace Perry coming back to the ball from the right wing to take it on top. Wilkinson looking inside. Red Thunder with the basketball back to Maddie Grove. She puts her back to the basket and sends it back out to Wilkinson. And our shot clock's down to 5 seconds. Grove got inside on the post, scores the left hand. That's going to be an effective play for the Cougars throughout the season. Grove plays the point guard spot, but at 6 feet, she can take her defender into the post and came up with a nice lefty move to score her 14th. And the Viking lead cut to 17. Ball on the right side, Elise Hebrink dribbling free to the corner, turning it back to Broughton. Johnson, left corner, Torres, quick release on a 3 short. She didn't have a chance to really step into that one as the ball went loose, and it's taken away on the far side of the floor by the Cougars and Grace Perry. And the clock's down to 1:25 to play. Perry driving into the paint, turning it back out. Red Thunder from the foul line. That ends up no good off the rim. And the rebound comes down with Ellie Powell for Valley City State. Broughton will send it up the floor. Katie Johnson in transition, and a timeout was taken by the Vikings before Johnson got rid of the shot. And the timeout may have been simply to allow some substitutions. And we'll see some new players for the Vikings coming in tonight, as the Vikings will send in, I believe, the 2 Cotton sisters this evening. We're going to see Avery Kukinski, a freshman out of Esco, Minnesota, will come into the matchup for the first time. Maya Morris, a freshman from Pura, Minnesota, will come into the matchup. Claire Cotton, the guard, the freshman guard out of Wheatland, North Dakota, finds her way in. And that, of course, is one of the former connections to Central Cass, as is Delaney Cotton, who's also on the floor, and a ball turned over. A pass from Maya Morris intended for Cotton is taken away, and Jay Quate goes to the basket and scores her 5th. Lead is 15 at 77-62. Kukinski brings the Vikings into the front court, looking left side, sends it back towards the left wing now for Delaney Cotton. Delaney Cotton taking the basketball to the post, working out right side. Kukinski open for 3, left that one strong, and the rebound's out of bounds off Ellie Powell's hands and goes back to Minnesota Morris. So we get to see the Central Cass connection. It was a good year recruiting out of Central Cass. Sam Coppervig's on the men's basketball team. Had a very impressive state tournament a year ago for Central Cass. Both the girls and the boys for the Squirrels won state championships, and good to see a few of them landing here at Valley City State. On top, Jay Quate, a jab step with the right foot, drives in. The ball knocked away. She was able to save it, but turns it over as the ball stolen on the far side of the floor by Maya Morris. And we'll see Maddie Grove knocking that out of bounds. The Vikings have had a nice history of luring in some squirrels. And, of course, we remember what Calvin Kraft did as a Viking men's basketball player here. Set some three-point records and really was just a joy. He's athletic director now at Enderlin High School. Post-entry pass is knocked out of bounds by the Cougars. And this will stay Viking basketball. Claire Cotton will inbound. Claire Cotton wears the smaller number. That's how I'm going to tell these two apart this year. I can tell that much right now. Shot clock's turned off, and Kuklinski with the basketball on top wants to run it out. Down to 2, down to 1, and the Vikings pick up their first win of the season. Your final score tonight on our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard will be the Vikings 77 and the Cougars 62. The Vikings are 1-1 on the season. Minnesota Morris still no record. This will count as an exhibition game for Minnesota Morris tonight, but the Vikings effective in this one this evening. They get the win to take their record to 1-1 on the year, and the men's matchup is on the way. A brief post-game report coming up, and then we'll send you back to regular programming for a bit, and we'll get our men's matchup. Broadcast started probably somewhere around 7:25 this evening, so come back to us at 7:25 for the start of men's basketball tonight for the Vikings. The Viking women win 77-62. Our post-game report is next for Viking basketball.
Why choose professional eye care centers? Let me count the whys. First, there are now 4 great doctors to see. Dr. Frank, Dr. Freilich, Dr. Jangula, and now welcoming
Hey college students, are you looking for a part-time job that works around your schedule, pays well, and gives you free money for college every year? McDonald's offers all of it. We can work around your schedule, and we give $2,500 scholarships to everyone who works for 3 months and averages 15 hours per week. That's 2 full shifts a week or 3 shifts of 5 hours. It's that easy. We've already given out more than $75,000 to students in North Dakota this year. Let us help you become the next scholarship recipient. Come join our team. Text ND29 to 38000 to apply today.
You live life on the move. While you determine what direction that may be, we're here to help along the way. So go. Go with values. Go with friends. Go with support. Go with convenience.
Potatoes 5-pound bag just $1.86. Campbell's Chunky Soups only $1.86 a can, and fresh navel oranges $1.69 a pound. Delivery is available by calling 845-1732. Levers Foods, Valley City, celebrating 86 years.
Hi, this is Clint from Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy in beautiful downtown Valley City, your only locally owned pharmacy since 1989. When you're locally owned, you care about your community and your customers. We offer a great selection of gifts and toys, as well as yarns, fabrics, sewing, and crafting. We are here for you from 9 to 5:30 weekdays and Saturdays 9 to 1. For all your pharmaceutical needs, give us a call, 845-5280.
Health Mart, taking time to listen and care.
Welcome you back to our post-game report tonight for Viking women's basketball. The Vikings a big winner this evening as Valley City State improves their record to 1-1 on the season. A 77-62 win over the University of Minnesota Morris tonight. The win pushes the Vikings to 1-1. Again, no official record for Minnesota Morris. This goes in the book as an exhibition for the University of Minnesota Morris, but the Vikings get it done defensively tonight. They force Minnesota Morris into 27 turnovers. The Vikings get it done on the glass tonight. They out-rebound the Cougars 38-30, 15-4 on the offensive glass tonight. The Vikings get it done from the three-point line. They shoot 41% for the game from the three-point line, 13 of 33 compared to just 1 of 4 for Minnesota Morris. The Vikings open up a 16-point lead, and that lead was cut to 4 at 36-32 before the Vikings turned it back into a 23-point lead in that same third quarter of basketball when Katie Johnson went off for 14 of her 18 points tonight, which was a game high on both sides of the floor this evening, a co-game high with Grace Perry of Minnesota Morris. But the game was in the balance at that point until the Vikings found some hot three-point shooting. 7 threes of the 13 that they hit came in the third quarter tonight, with Ashlyn Diemert knocking down 3 of them, and Katie Johnson with a career night, 4 threes for the junior out of Pearl, Minnesota, and a total of 18 points to lead the way for the Vikings tonight. The numbers on this one: Minnesota Morris shoots 52% from the field in the second half. They shot 49% from the field. The Vikings shot just 43% from the field, but the difference? Minnesota Morris had 45 field goal attempts. The Vikings had 67. That's the difference of those turnovers. When you're forced into 27 turnovers, you give your opposition 22 more attempts from the field, and you don't have to shoot a great percentage to turn 22 additional shots into a big win, and the Vikings did that tonight. Those are the numbers there. Again, the Vikings out-rebound the Cougars 38-30, 15-4 on the offensive glass. The Cougars 17 of 24 from the foul line. The Vikings 6 of 8 tonight. That was one of the reasons why this game was as close as it was. The Vikings put themselves in some foul trouble tonight. Minnesota Morris, their totals tonight, 18 for Grace Perry along with 2 rebounds, 14 points tonight for Maddie Grove, 8 points, 10 boards for Mallory Anderson this evening. Shelby Mortensen with 7. Jay Quate finishes with 5 tonight. Lexus Red Thunder with 4. Also 4 points tonight. I may have said 5 for Quate. I did. Yes, my apologies. Lexus Red Thunder with 4. Claire Stark with 4 tonight as well. Alice Wilkinson with 2. For Valley City State this evening, 4 in double figures. Katie Johnson, 18 points, 4 rebounds. 12 points, 4 rebounds for Adriana Torres tonight. 11 points and a pair of boards for Ashlyn Deemer. 10 points, 3 rebounds for Haley Roberts this evening. 8 points tonight for Ellie Broughton. Also tonight, we'll see 6 points for Ellie Powell, who played well in spots, particularly rebounding the basketball tonight. Ellie had a nice night. She ends up with 9 rebounds to lead the way tonight for Valley City State. That's as close to a double-double as the Vikings got with the freshman from Bowman. 6 points and 9 rebounds tonight for Ellie Powell in this one. Madison Spacier finishes with 7 points this evening. Madison Wilhelmi with 3. Allie Negan ends up with 2 this evening. And again, the Vikings had rebound contributions tonight from just about everybody until the very end. As far as the total team rebounds tonight, 38, and the Vikings will get rebounds from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different players tonight come up with rebounds for the Vikings. And the Vikings win it by a score of 77-62 to take home game 1 of our doubleheader this evening. That'll do it for our first broadcast tonight. But the Viking men are on the way next. We'll be joining them in about 10 minutes with our pregame report. Join us at 7:20.